What's going on? Great to be with you guys. Sorry, I think some people were confused with the 2 o'clock start time because it's 2 o'clock local, Milwaukee, so that's 3 o'clock East Coast for those of you. I already see it on the live stream, wondering what's going on. We just finished up with Viva for a little bit. So, hey, we're keeping this open. We don't have a script. We don't have a plan. We just want to talk to you guys, hear from you. We're live here with MTG at the Republican debate. Now, we were told earlier maybe we can actually still get onto the spin room floor after Fox News locked us out.
We should have Marjorie lead the way, MTG and KG.
Wait, do you think they'll let members of Congress like myself on the spin room floor? I would think.
You would think that a member of Congress
We've upset her
would
already.
qualify for like the Republican National Committee debates to be able to comment on it. You would think
I
so,
would
but
think
it doesn't
so.
seem like that's the behavior
What
of
about
these organizations.
canceled Americans? You know, I think you guys have been canceled a bunch.
We've been canceled.
We don't even notice
I've been canceled more than most. At this point, if I'm not canceled daily, I sort of feel like
You're not doing
I'm
your job.
underperforming.
Right.
I'm not doing enough to really do this. All right, we got some pro-Trump people honking as they go by. We have one really lunatic person that seems to be following you around a lot, Marjorie. But
So
otherwise,
thank you, Marjorie.
yeah.
Really
Otherwise, keep hearing,
special.
Marjorie.
Marjorie.
Just trolling,
There he is.
but
He's down
you know
there.
that's one. But you know, of course, the media will find that one person. They'll go down low to make it seem like it's a huge crowd, even if it's one person. They did that to my father once. They were protesting him, and they go, a massive crowd. It was 2 people and a dog, legitimately.
Yeah.
That was all it was.
And then they'll say they're a disgruntled Republican voter that can't vote for Trump again,
Oh, yes.
right?
No, I have a feeling based on everything I've heard from that guy, he ain't Republican.
Nope.
Well,
He's disgruntled,
but
but he's not a
also,
Republican.
he is employed because that seems pretty
He is
certain.
employed for sure.
Somebody's hired him.
Yeah.
What a talent pool. Imagine the casting.
So what are you thinking right now, Marjorie? What do you think? What's going to happen tonight?
Well, I think the debate's over. I know we haven't had the debate yet, but it's over. Everybody's decided President Trump is who they want back. I am interested to hear the policy discussions and the questions asked. I think that's important to listen for. But, you know, I told your dad there's no reason for him to come back this week. He has nothing to prove against these candidates because he's already proven for 4 years that he was the greatest president of my lifetime. I think the greatest president that this country has had. And you know what it's really about? It's about $1.75 a gallon gasoline.
That's right.
And that's what we want
That's
back.
what people care about.
Well, and beyond that, I also don't think, you know, the people saying Trump's afraid to debate. I'm like, I don't know. I think he's got a pretty solid debate record. Hillary learned that one the hard way.
The words Trump and afraid do not go together.
They don't go together.
They don't make sense.
You know, and then there's also the notion of like, you know, watching, you know, sort of Fox do that. Like, they're trying to convince him to go there for their ratings.
Right.
After basically shitting on him straight for 2 years. You know what I mean?
Of
It's like the
course.
second he's out, it's like they picked their, you know, they chose Ron DeSantis and they boosted him for a few months. Then you realize you got to meet Ron DeSantis and realize it's, you know, what the internet influencer groups, you know, what they created, the personality that they created. You see him on a stage, or you see him behind a bar. You know, you humans should have a beer with me
Exactly.
because that's what humans
There's no personality.
do, I'm told.
No.
You know, it's like,
missing the personality.
you can't
chip.
create that.
Well, I think
and so
out of
now
that-
they're going to someone else, and they'll keep going to someone else till
Yeah.
they have someone that they can control in their entirety.
But
But
they
you
did
know
go
what
and
it
beg
is?
Trump and went to Bedminster to try to convince him to come and do the debate.
Well, good. I'm glad they did that. They should ask him to come because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But really,
By the way,
what
that's the smart business decision for them. Just like, even if they're, in my opinion, it's a ploy to give, you know, a bunch of other people polling at 1% 3 hours of unfettered access to try to nuke him. I do think that's like they were going to rig the debate that way, in my opinion.
Right.
So, but I still understand why it's a smart business decision for them to try. I also understand why it's a smart decision for Trump not to do that. You know, Trump didn't accomplish the things that he accomplished by being foolish and walking into a trap by people who have been shitting on him for the last 2 years.
Exactly.
Like that's not.
And well, let's be real about what the debate's about. It's about the donors that are supporting this candidate, and it's about the political consultants that are taking the paycheck, and then it's about ratings. I mean, that's what this debate is really about, because the debate's over with Republican voters. They want President Trump back.
That's really true. And just even the latest polling, he's up, 50 points ahead of everyone else. He's been pretty strong at 62% of Republican likely voters to show up for him. He's their choice. So this is just sort of,
Well, another big one
gymnastics.
I want you to talk. I mean, initially the argument was Trump can't beat Biden. That's why we need
Right, remember that?
X candidate. But now Trump's actually outperforming all of the other Republicans, especially Ron DeSantis,
Of course.
against Biden. So the
Yeah,
whole
and
argument
beating
that they
Biden.
spun for 6 months is underwater. So now it's like, what's the other reason now?
They don't
Trump's
have
the only
one.
guy that's actually beating Biden. Now, again, we got to remember, I don't think there's a sane human being in the world that really believes Joe Biden's doing a good job. But when you have, $1 trillion mainstream media, $1 trillion social media, $1 trillion in big tech, all basically functioning as the marketing apparatus for the regime, it's a problem. I mean, you see the response to Hawaii. You see the. I mean,
That
if that
was
was
his
Trump,
Katrina
he'd be in jail. And guess
disaster.
what?
He would be in jail.
I'd be there putting him in jail myself for that kind of response,
Oh.
for that kind of commentary.
Joe
right?
Biden should be so ashamed.
But he also doesn't learn. Marjorie,
He
I remember
doesn't
when he
care.
checked his watch as he was, receiving the bodies of the 13 victims
Yeah.
from his incompetent withdrawal in Afghanistan. He's checking his
Right.
watch because, he had to be on vacation again because 40% of his presidency has been on vacation. Like, he doesn't learn. Like,
No.
he can't even figure it out because he doesn't get it.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't
But
care.
that's,
He
that's,
doesn't
that's the
care.
Democrat Party. He's
Yep.
the representative of that. And you can't, I'm not going to even just blame him because the guy in charge of the response in Hawaii,
Right.
a former Obama guy, waited 5 hours because water needs to be distributed in equity.
Oh my
Like whatever the
gosh.
fuck that means.
Well,
Like,
everything's equity for
There we
them,
go.
but it's not equitable because it has to be for minorities or your sexual identity or some other crazy reason. So,
Well, what I want to see, it'll be interesting in the weeks because the media has been awfully quiet. And again, if it was Trump, they'd be asking the question about what's the real death toll. Because they know.
yeah, they know.
Children don't go magically missing,
Yeah.
in Hawaii for 2 weeks.
That's true. And they haven't shown up at school.
They haven't shown up at school.
Yeah.
They haven't shown up anywhere. They have,
Right.
yes, an individual child can go missing. That happens all the time. And the
That's
human
right.
trafficking, which Trump did a lot about, and the Democrats
Thank
were
God.
outraged
Did the
that
most
he did.
for.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So those of you who've watched the podcast, remember I spoke about it. I had Tim Ballard on a few weeks ago. I introduced him to the White House in like 2016,
Yeah.
Wow.
17, right early. I met him in 16 and was like, hey, you should talk to these guys about the problem because everyone understands there's a problem with it, but you don't understand the magnitude, the
Oh, it's-
volume of the kids that this happens to. And so back then, I introduced Trump to the thing, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is a real problem." So they founded a coalition,
Thank
and they
God.
put like $300 million behind it. And I was like, you know what? This is something we can all actually agree on.
Right.
Like, it's not even about political points. And the left lost their minds. Like, I'm like,
Let me give you a statistic.
Can we not agree on this?
So
stuff?
child sex trafficking in my state of Georgia, I met with GMA last week.
Yeah.
And every single month in the state of Georgia, over 7,200 times a child is sold for sex. Every month, over 7,200 times a child
That's
is sold for
so
sex.
disgusting and
But Fonnie Willis,
awful.
the district attorney in Fulton County, thinks that her number one job is to get Trump and to arrest Trump, put
because,
Joe
because
Biden.
Atlanta, Fulton County is
Yes.
Atlanta, folks, because Atlanta
Yep.
is what we call not exactly known for being a safe place these days.
No. Our murder
even
rate's the same
by the way,
as
and I don't
Chicago.
want.
So why isn't she making
I'm
it a
not allowed to
platform
make
to
these
save those
comparisons.
children?
Save
That's
the
how
chil- yes,
pathetic
save
it is.
those
She should be
children.
recalled from office because of failure to actually serve the people and do her job.
Well, listen,
That's
some
right.
of the wealthier neighborhoods in Atlanta literally tried to secede from Atlanta so that they
Buckhead
could
City.
take
Buckhead
Buckhead
City.
and all that, so that they could take their taxpayer dollars for the area.
That's right.
Just to have a security force in it, because the cops
I
are basically
supported
told
them.
to stand down and they can't do it. Of course that it comes down to a votes, and they're going to no, we want to take your money
Right.
so we can fund trans activism or whatever it is, not
Yep.
actual safety of their citizens. So
That's right.
let's see. Daft Monk said, Don Jr., I think your father got blindsided by the swamp, but I think he's ready to rock this time. And I think you're 100% right. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it is. You came in as an outsider. There's some parts of that are great. You're not beholden to their policy. You can do things that make sense, but
Or their
you're
money.
also
Or their money.
or their money.
That's right.
Well, that's why some of the big boys don't want Trump this time, because they want someone that they control. They
That's
want someone
right.
that needs to take their call.
That's how Washington works. It's all about the donors.
I mean,
and who-
you've seen that. And
Oh,
now-
I've seen it over and over.
But you're different, Marjorie, because you actually raise a lot of money. One of the largest of any congressional, seated congressional.
Because people are inspired
I don't want to say
by
candidate,
her,
but
like Trump.
actually congresswoman.
Yeah, less than $200 donations.
But it's small dollar
oh,
donors.
Small dollars.
That was like us.
Yeah.
Ours was like 64 by the end
That's
of 2016. It
Yes.
was $64 over like 3 or 4 donations.
Now
it was
it's
like
like
17 bucks, a piece. And that's what scares
Which is how
them.
it should be.
You know,
That's how it
one
should
big
be,
guy
right?
can write your super PAC $1 billion, and they can spend it how they want, which is how Ron DeSantis has raised money. When you look at his fundraising numbers, it's all the billionaire class.
That's why the debate's happening.
Yeah, this is like a thank you to the billionaires and the DC establishment, and
That's
not
right.
actually a debate. So,
But it's this. I think 24 to me is about the elites versus the people, and the Democrat Party has basically decided that they represent the elites, and then there's a certain section of the Republican Party that represents the elites, and they look down on the people. Like, think about that song that just came out, "Richmond North of Richmond" by Oliver Anthony, or his
that
name is
guy's
Chris,
great.
really.
Yeah,
But
he's
the
coming out with
words-
bestseller after
Yeah.
bestseller because it's right, and finally
Right.
someone's going to say it.
But the words in the song represent the forgotten American. The American people that are barely getting by month after month. Food is doubled at the grocery store. Gas is now nearly $4 a gallon. Nobody can afford their electricity bills because the Green New Deal is like the greatest thing for the Democrat Party. That song represents the American people, and if they turn out and vote like they really can, and it's possible, then we can completely defeat the party of the elites, which is
Absolutely.
the Uniparty in Washington, and the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
And that's what
You
this
see
country.
activism at work every day.
Yes.
That this is actually happening. You hear more people starting to talk about it now because they're getting more informed.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I used to think it was like the Democrats that just had disdain
Yeah.
for like the hard-working men and women of the MAGA voter, the America First people.
Right.
I thought it was just the Democrats. I now realize it's actually also the Republican establishment.
Yes.
Because you got to think about it, man. Historically, or up until a few years ago, it was the Democrats that sort of did cater to the blue-collar worker. I think it was all a lie, and that a lie.
It's a lie.
Perpetuated by media that they really care about you. I think we all see that now, but there's a component of it that today, Trump started that movement for the Republicans.
That's right.
Trump got those voters over there.
That's
But
right.
not everyone's willing to actually cater to those people in the Republican Party because they're
No.
either incapable of it or unwilling to break from the billionaire donor class, who still will, let's say, go soft on China
Exactly.
because they can get their widget made for half a cent cheaper
That's right.
or otherwise. So, it's actually that DC Uni Party that has the disdain for the hardworking American,
No,
I
they
think.
absolutely do, and that's the problem. But I think people are starting to see it, and I think it's part of the
Kimberly, how are you liking this wind?
I'm really loving it. Yeah. But
Your
it's
hair's
been-
giving you a lipstick
it's
whiplash.
Yes, exactly. It's like 95 degrees. So a fun fact behind
Yeah,
the scenes
it's a
here,
little
we've got ice packs on the cameras here to keep them cool. It's that hot. So
We
it's
got our
gonna be
good friend Chris
interesting.
Pavlovsky, the CEO of Rumble, actually administering the ice
He's
packs.
now the king of ice.
So if you like, what Rumble's doing, you're going to like it even more to know that the CEO is taking a hands-on approach to make sure that everything's going smoothly. So
Doing an excellent job.
We appreciate it, Chris. You're doing great. Although in my next life, I want to come back as a tech guy so I can wear a T-shirt and just and go
I
chill.
know, right? That's what
Yeah.
he keeps saying.
I really appreciate
Baby,
what
someone
you're
said
saying.
that Kim is
Oh.
stunning on here. I mean,
See, despite
yeah,
the wind and
see?
the lip gloss.
I have to agree because if I don't, I'm in serious trouble.
Well,
They'll
then
throw
what
me
are you
off
doing
of
with
this. They'll
me?
throw me off
My
of this
God.
stage. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, Marjorie. What were you going to say?
I like your point you were making about the Washington elites and the policies. So if you look at what Joe Biden's doing, he sent $113 billion to Ukraine. He wants another $24 billion to go to Ukraine, but yet he's not worrying about these businesses that are barely hanging on. They barely made it through the COVID shutdowns, and now inflation is killing them. The price to stay in business, hire workers.
Right.
This is not the party of the people
and
or
what
the
did
worker.
he do with Maui? He's sending all the money over to Ukraine. He's not
They got
helping
nothing. They
$700.
got nothing for Maui, $700.
$700.
This is someone who lost a child. They're going to get
Yeah.
$700, but
They lost their
Vladimir
home.
Zelensky can get $130 billion plus
yeah.
whatever the Pentagon misplaced of the $220 that they
Of
magically
course.
lost.
Of course.
Minor details like that. It's mind-boggling to me. But okay, talk about this because you some of these are your colleagues in Congress and otherwise. It feels like, again, I get where I come from. I understand that, but I also spend more time in real America than probably anyone on that debate stage tonight.
I would
right?
agree with that.
Whether it be through my hobbies or actually just doing these sort of boots on the ground,
Yeah. You mean
your
political
man
stuff, not just for a
babe.
camera.
Remember, we don't
Yeah.
say hobbies, man
Yeah, I'm
stuff.
sorry, baby. But what's interesting, you brought up Ukraine and the funding of that, but it feels like the vast majority of the people on that stage are actually for the never-ending war in Ukraine.
That's why
I
they're
mean, that's
on
what
the
I'm trying to
stage.
figure out because I guarantee you that not one single person on this will comment that it's a top 5 issue. I've done this on stage. I
Oh,
mean,
gosh.
I did stuff for some of your colleagues where I'm in their local markets
Yep.
in front of 1,500 people. Hey, Is Ukraine the number one issue for you? Not a single hand.
No.
Number 2, top 5. Is it a top 10 issue? Not one hand goes up.
No.
But if you look at the people on this stage, and again, Ron DeSantis for a brief moment adapted the Trump. Remember when he did that on Tucker before Tucker was removed off of Fox? For a brief moment, he took sort of a Trump light approach on Ukraine, and then 2 days later he recanted that, and he's full on support of Ukraine and the never-ending war. Like,
did he wear a green T-shirt just like Zelensky with the blue and yellow
sure,
flag? Probably.
You go for the obligatory photo op, like
right.
like every B-list like Hollywood actor.
Yeah, Chris
It's like,
Christie's been over there like kissing Zelensky's butt.
have you seen the memes? Like, and again, I don't know if they're true, but I'm seeing all these videos of like Ukrainian beach clubs on the Black Sea.
Oh,
and
yeah, they're having
just
a ball.
hanging out, having a ball.
Well, some
I'm
of
like,
it's not memes, babe. It's actual video.
It's just
Well,
videos, but it's like become
here's
a
our
meme because it's that
concern.
stupid.
So we're concerned. We're actually looking at an investigation. And I think this one is important, where we need to be seeing where this money goes. And I had an amendment that
Follow
passed.
the money.
Yeah, I had an amendment that passed to audit the money, but I haven't really seen the results of it yet. And I'm going to go back and keep pushing for that. But what some of us are suspecting is a lot of this money that's going to Ukraine is actually making its way around and working its way back into Democrat campaigns. And so this is why you're seeing the progressives who are supposedly anti-war, they're all in for Ukraine because they're profiting off of it. And then there's a lot of investments going on in Ukraine where there's people buying up land, investing businesses, because it's a place of the future because America is so invested in it.
Well, we had James O'Keefe on the show, and he did that. He
he's
had
on
that
Monterey.
where
Monterey.
your time is up, Monterey.
Come take a picture
But
with me.
we had James O'Keefe on the show, and he had that investigation where he found all these people that were like, people living in small houses, not wealthy, not just struggling to get. Well, you, ma'am, you donated $87,000 to the Democratic Party. And she's like, the Democrat Party? How could I possibly? Sure, I donated $4 at a time. A couple, 87,000, and all of these people. I mean, and it wouldn't surprise. By the way, it's a shell game to pay off the contractors in D.C.
Right.
I don't pretend that some of that money isn't being spent in the
Sure.
U.S., but I don't feel. I understand that Raytheon and Boeing or whoever, they watched Big Pharma get rich during COVID, and they're like, no, it's our turn back at the trough. But
And
it doesn't
Joe
mean we actually
Biden
have
wants
to
to
do
give
it.
them some more money. He wants to buy up more masks and more vaccines, and there's no way, hell no, we are not going back
Everyone
to that.
says do not comply. There's a lot of chatter about that on social media yesterday, today, etc.
And the White House
Dan
released
Bongino
their
said the
plan
same
yesterday.
thing. Yeah, so talk about that, because this is very obvious. This is how they got out of campaigning and doing anything.
That's
it was
right.
basement Biden. He avoided anything. He showed up at two events that had like 2.5 people there.
Yeah.
And, like, that was it.
No, you're right, 100%. But here's the White House rolling out a COVID-19 pandemic preparedness plan as if any of us are concerned about COVID-19. No one is concerned. As a matter of fact, if one more person lectures me with a stupid piece of paper taped across their face, I'm ready to rip it off because it's such a joke. Those little paper masks, they don't do anything but make you look like an idiot.
Well, they're actually bad for your health as well, quite
Yes.
frankly, just like that whole vaccine thing. But
I can't hear you. Sorry. All right. Oh, by the way, this is a comment that I think some people could get interested in. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for saying it, but it's MTG versus KG mud wrestling.
oh my
Lord.
God.
I'm just saying. I gotta bring it all up.
This is the type of comments I get on my chat, Don, but now you're getting it on.
Listen, I am not entirely against. I'm just
Kimberly,
saying.
we don't
by
need
the
to
way,
mud wrestle. We
I'm-
can lay out by the pool and be much happier.
Exactly. I wouldn't mind some nice, cool mud right now.
So, but
nice mud bath.
to spin it back to serious, I do have a question because it's coming up a lot. I think we got to address it. I know we've spoken about this because we've had that conversation, and I agree with a lot of what you've said. But there's a lot of commentary about MTG and McCarthy.
Yes.
Give them the explanation that you've given me in the past, because I actually agree with it. And I've said the same thing. Like I supported McCarthy, because I understand the realities of DC. I may not be thrilled with those realities, but
I agree.
I can't operate in rose-colored glasses, imaginary unicorn world like the Democrats do. I got to understand the reality. But
we shared.
talk about this a little bit, because a lot of people are asking, and I know the answer, but I think they should hear it from you, because I think it's important, and I think you're right about it.
It's a great question, and I appreciate whoever's asking that question. So let me just frame it up like this. All three of us right here, Don and I, Kimberly, we all share the same conservative fantasies for America. We really want great conservative things, but we also have to function, members of Congress like myself have to function in political reality. And the political reality is, and a lot of people don't understand, the Speaker of the House, whether it's Republican or Democrat, primary role 90% of the time is raising money to support Republican members and support Republican candidates. And where the bills happen, where the committee work happens, and bills being passed on the floor are largely with the members that make up the conference. So if you're frustrated like I am, I'm ready for impeachment, and I was ready for it on Joe Biden's first day of office when I introduced articles of impeachment, and many people can't wait for it, soon enough. If you're frustrated with that, it's not Kevin McCarthy's fault, because he spent the last month and more saying on every interview he's been on, he's ready for an impeachment inquiry. But yet we don't have the conference in place right now to make serious conservative changes. We only have 222 Republican members in the House.
Yeah, if you lose 4, you're out, basically.
Right, and it takes 218 voting yes to accomplish anything.
But the important part about that role, also,
though.
again, the fundraising. Because that's what people don't understand. Like, everyone was like, why not Jim Jordan? Because Jim doesn't want to go to a fundraising dinner 7 nights a week, 365.
And all of you would be so upset if Jim Jordan was Speaker of the House, who I love, by the way. He was the first person to endorse me when I ran.
Yeah, he's fabulous.
And I voted with him, and we both voted for Kevin McCarthy.
Getting done what he's doing
but
now
he wouldn't be chairman of judiciary.
Right.
Yeah, I want him in that role.
We want him as
fundraising.
chairman, and he doesn't want to go around the country fundraising. He wants to use his gifts and talents being chairman of judiciary.
Exactly.
But here's the other part that people need to understand.
Yeah, talk about the votes.
Going into the speaker's race, we only had one person that wanted to be Speaker of the House and had told us for more than almost 2 years straight, and that was Kevin McCarthy. And for the last minute, for people to all of a sudden raise their hand and say, vote for me, when they had no plan in place, they had no setup for the whole management system that needs to be in place for the House of Representatives to set up every committee, and the ability to fundraise and set record fundraising numbers like Kevin McCarthy has. None of those people were capable. But what Kevin McCarthy is doing, and he's the only one that's able to rein in and I'm not always happy with our 218 yes votes, because I want 250 conservatives in the House of Representatives, but we don't have them. But people watching at home, you all are the ones that can send them. And so I'll beg you, please send us more conservative Republicans.
It's really true. They have the power to do that and to keep in office the people who are actually getting work done and doing the hard work like you do and deliver results, which I think is really, the sole reason, and just because you speak your mind as well like Trump does, that you have the amount of support you do, and you have the amount of followers, and you have the financial contributions coming in. Then you go out of your way to help other members that are like-minded and are actually worthwhile, where people get their money's worth from somebody that they actually send to Washington, D.C. So the concern is, too, I'm going to go back to the votes really quick, about, talked about impeachment and actually getting some of this important, conservative legislation put through. It does come down to the votes. People are wondering, hey, why hasn't Biden been impeached yet? Although the terrifying shock and awe reality of that is then we would have Kamala Harris. So, Marjorie.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit torn on this one, Marjorie. I'm like, I kind of like out of principle. I don't think the president of the United States should be making money from China and Ukraine and taking property. Yeah,
we don't want Kamala.
Minor details, but also like.
But you know what I want America to see that would happen in an impeachment inquiry or in our investigations in the House is America would get to see the real evidence of what Joe Biden has done while he's been in Washington for 50 years. Marjorie. Yeah, he's still down there. No, but anyways, that's what America needs to see with an impeachment inquiry.
I agree.
Yeah. You're more into the fundraising side than I am. How do you like? People are asking how they make donations to Trump campaign without going through Win Red, because I guess you go right to the super PAC, right?
Well, that's MAGA Inc.
Yeah.
You go to MAGA Inc. and go to that
Go to
website.
MAGAinc.com.
And also, but the campaign, Donald J. Trump.
.com, but that's still often funneled through. So I guess you could go to super PAC to bypass anything like that but.
I know,
Yeah.
Odd, but you still do get checks coming in these days, every once in a while, but it's so much easier
the
to
system is crazy.
click a link.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And I think that's the other thing people don't understand, just like how crazy the systems are, right? Like, just to work within some of these things. But yeah, I guess the best thing would be for MAGA Inc. That's typically the super PAC stuff is bigger dollar donors, but they'll take it either way. But it's all important. And, so what they are independent of the campaign, but they're people that we like and trust to do things.
Well, and by the way,
needs the financial support.
Absolutely. But even if, especially with all this, legal warfare going on, the legal fund has been created as well. And so the problem is that people want to be able to contribute, they want to give, but it's also so important, more than just the money, is we like to get that information in of who's supporting, who wants to be involved, who we can tap to go to polling places or do field work, get out the vote, ground game.
Yeah, guys, like, get involved.
harvest.
You have some, have poll watchers, but don't find the sweetheart 90-year-old grandmother to be the poll watcher. Not that she wouldn't be giving her time. You need someone who's a killer.
Yeah.
You need someone who's going to stand up
some
to
of those
being locked
90-year-old
out.
grandmas are killers.
And some of them are, but not all of them.
Not all
You know what I mean? You need a lawyer, someone who's aggressive. Like, they tried doing that to my brother in Philadelphia. Like, he was a poll watcher for Philadelphia, and they wouldn't let him in. With his full armed Secret Service detail show, I'd be like, you're not getting in here.
Those are the people we want poll watching.
Yeah, we need equivalent of that. We don't have much of that. This guy, is going to take on 7 Secret Service agents to prevent him from going in and watching whatever the hell they were doing in that room. So
what did they have to hide?
We need some of that on our side, because that's a real big deal. I keep seeing a lot of people saying that we will not comply. And
That's
while I agree with it, let's be careful with this one, because we will not comply means that we're going to even let the government get to a point where they're going to make us even think about complying with something.
We're not going to
And that's where you and your colleagues have to come in, and the Republican Party has to grow some cojones, so to speak, because if we even get to that point
is so
again.
good.
Thank you, baby. I learned it by listening to you. If we even get to that point, it's right. But I mean, you're right. What has listening to the government gotten us positive in the last few years? And I actually saw something interesting about.
I think they're
the
saying
Hawaii
we will not
wildfires.
comply though about the mask and the vaccine.
No, I agree. I'm just saying the problem with it is I agree with we're not going to comply.
No.
But let's not even let it get to the point where we're faced with a decision about compliance.
Right.
Like, it should never get there. You guys got to shut that down.
Absolutely.
Before it ever becomes a decision that we have to make.
Absolutely.
If we ever do have to make that decision again, I agree fully. But I actually read an article.
But the voters can do that. They can shut it down so it doesn't get to the do not comply. They can throw Joe Biden out
See,
of
guys,
office.
this is why you got to go with Trump hair, because the product in this shit will keep just like a helmet. This wind's going to do nothing to this hair.
I think it's seeped into your brain.
I'm fine. But but speaking of the compliance, I read an article, and I don't know if it's true, because I saw it somewhere on social as I was coming here, and it was like one of the exits out of the Maui fires was blocked on purpose, or whatever, and people were told to turn back around into the fires, and literally the only people that survived were the people that broke compliance and went around the barricades and just got away because of the insanity of these decisions.
Thank God they did.
Yeah, I don't think that listening to too much from our government at this point is...
Use your brain, common sense.
That's
because
right.
it doesn't make sense if somebody's telling you to do something, then do what you think is best. Because there's too many mistakes and errors like this, and then where's the accountability? We saw it with the hurricanes and Katrina and everything else and things that weren't handled right. But, you got to be a free, independent thinker and not a robot.
Yeah.
The wildfires have been happening in Maui for many years. My daughter spent a lot of summers out there. She lived in the summer, a bunch of years in a row. Went to school out there even for 1 year. And wildfires have been common for a long time. Where I have a hard time understanding is why there wasn't an alarm sounded for these people. I know they said it was a tsunami. It was for the tsunami. Doesn't matter. Wake them up so they know how to get out of their house and try to escape in time.
Because even if they thought it was a tsunami, they know to get out.
Yes, they would have known to get out.
Purpose.
And there aren't, so he says, well, that meant they would have gone to higher ground. And I understand that argument, but there aren't streets that go directly up the mountains right there in Lahaina. It's all more parallel roads along the highway and the ocean. And those people needed more time.
And I'm not sure I want to go to higher ground in a fire.
Yeah, but they would have...
In a flood, maybe, but in a fire, it sort of spreads up.
And they wouldn't have driven up into a wildfire. Let's be realistic. People aren't stupid, but they would have gotten out of their homes. But the biggest thing we have to do coming up for legislation when we go back in session is there's no way that I will, and I know many of my colleagues won't, we're not going to vote for any type of funding bill that puts aid for Hawaii with money for Ukraine. That has to be separated. A Ukraine supplemental is not going to happen.
And that's what the Democrats will try to do, though. They'll try to, we're going to send $1 trillion of your hard-earned taxpayers' money and mortgage your children's future to the hilt to send $4 to Hawaii.
That's right.
And that's what they're going to do. And the second you vote against that, they're going to say, oh, you're hurting the people of Hawaii. We're still going to fall for this idiocy anymore.
Absolutely. And so it's important for anyone watching at home to understand, going back to conservative fantasy and political reality, What we can do for our party, and I think, Don, you and I agree, is we have to get in and roll up our sleeves to make the changes.
Yeah.
That means that you can't treat politics like a football game where every play is a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
You have to get in and tactically make the changes in the Republican Party and do it incrementally. While sometimes we're making a long pass, a lot of times we got to move the ball down the road.
All right. Last question, because you're in Congress right now. This is a
Yes.
good one. Should they not try to impeach Garland and Wray first before Biden? I mean, I find like Garland is actually just functioning.
Well, people have
He's like
asked
Joe
that.
Biden, it's
Yeah.
personal, attack dog
Cash Patel
/ lawyer.
thinks they should
I would
do
love
that.
to answer that. So I don't know if your viewers know, but I've introduced articles of impeachment on Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland, Joe Biden, pretty much everybody. I'm one of those impeach them all kind of people.
That's
because
the top three stooges right
yeah,
there.
impeach these people. They should be done. And we need to defund Jack Smith and his special counsel by any means possible. I believe in that, and we can do that in appropriations. But again, for everyone watching, the only way to make it happen is we have to have 218 yes votes. So I'll end with this one. I implore people, listen, the best way to send us more conservative Republicans is vote. And there's a lot of people that are so angry right now, they don't even want to vote, or they feel concerned about
by the way,
elections.
that's like the Democrat dream come
yes.
true, by the way. So,
they want you to not
100%.
vote. They want you to say we can't vote on the machines. They want you to say only day of only. No, vote by any means possible and get everyone you know to vote, because that's the only way that we can make changes in Washington. And it's not going to happen until we get the White House, the Senate,
Sure.
and a big control of the House.
100%. Well, thank you
Yeah,
so much,
excellent.
Marjorie.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
And
joining
also where
us.
people can go to your website to help and donate and get involved.
Yes, mtgforamerica.com, mtgforamerica.com. I greatly appreciate it, especially the small dollar donors. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
guys.
All the best.
Yeah.
Great seeing you.
Okay,
God
we'll see you
bless.
soon.
See you later.
I'm going to go see my Marjorie
All
friend.
right, guys.
Marjorie.
So we have another guest coming on shortly. I apologize if I'm sweating like Joe Biden trying to complete a sentence. It is, thank you, baby. It is 95 degrees out here, and despite the
Literally.
wind, it is really hot and humid.
Oh my God.
Baby, you're gonna give people the wrong idea with the ice pack on your chest there. Okay, relax.
What is the idea? Is
Relax,
it's hot.
princess. Just relax.
All right, we got Carrie Lake in the house.
Who do we got? We got Carrie Lake coming on, folks.
Woo! All right, Carrie.
The one and only.
She's got her ninjas with her.
What's going
There
on?
you go. All
are
right.
you?
Trump
What's
was
happening,
right. Hi, hon.
Just slightly hot, yeah.
Mwah. Great.
Carrie, what's nice, you get to do this for like half an hour. We get to do it for like a full, solid
She's
2 hours.
got the right hairdo though. It's been blowing like crazy,
You
but
are in the shade, so you're smart.
I was
kinda.
just saying, I'm sweating like Joe Biden trying to complete a sentence. It is hot.
it's ridiculous. But can we first start off by saying this?
Are we on the air right now?
We
We're
have
live.
been. Yeah.
Yeah, you're live, so.
Good heads up
kept
about
things
that,
very
right?
clean right now.
Exactly.
I haven't been because
Don't worry.
Because you're.
Don's already ruined his show
Just like,
and
yeah, I can
mine
say what
because
I
we're
want.
streaming simultaneously
well, I don't know.
here.
I mean, Joe Biden, I feel like watching him is like watching somebody rambling at a nursing home.
It's sad.
And it's sad, but it's sad for America because we're in a dangerous world right now, and your dad reminds people of that all the time. And thank
Yep.
God when he was in charge, we had strength. We are in such a weak spot as a country right now. And we're very preoccupied with all the things happening. And there's a lot of, the economy's falling apart, the border is wide
Borders
open. But
wide
we're on the verge of World War III.
Oh, it's
And I
true.
think they don't want us paying attention to what's happening. And I'm really worried about the state of the world right now.
we should be. I mean, what I'm even more worried about is beyond the fact that they've actually said we're at the closest to nuclear war since the Cuban Missile Crisis in the 60s is that no one in the media is asking, like, hey, is our policy being influenced by the millions of dollars paid to Hunter Biden, his uncle, his ex-wife, his ex-mistress,
Russia,
the grandchildren, the
Kazakhstan.
children,
Devin
like literally
Archer.
everyone in the Biden family. You would think that would be a question. Like, if we know there's millions coming from those corrupt regimes to the Bidens, and these are the people making decisions
Right.
about billions and hundreds of billions of dollars at this point. I mean, you'd think the media would even ask the question, but they won't.
Nobody gets 10, 5, 15 million dollars without strings attached.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, the people that the Bidens have been taking bribes from are our enemies. I mean, the CCP, Kazakhstan, Ukraine. We're finding out that the Moscow's mayor's wife gave Joe Biden millions. These have strings attached, and this means that Joe Biden is just out there sitting around staring at the wall while allowing the policy to be anti-American policy. And you know he's working for these other countries.
Because he was paid off.
I've never seen a policy that is more America last. I mean, they go as far practically saying it. I mean, everything that Trump was able to accomplish taking on China just reversed in a second. So whatever the investment was in Hunter Biden, the greatest return on investment of any deal in modern history for that, trillions of dollars.
And sadly for us, but and then as we're finding all this information that's coming out, and we get more information thanks to some pretty brave folks in the U.S. House of Representatives who are finally investigating it, and we find out more and more, and every time we get another bombshell on the Biden family, another indictment comes down, another arrest, another attack on your dad, and it's all a diversion and distraction to keep us off what's really going on. When the real people who should be indicted right now by the DOJ are Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the entire Biden family. If I had $1 for every witch hunt they launched at President Trump and the entire family, I think we could pull enough money together to bribe Joe Biden into maybe doing something for America.
I mean, that's the only way he responds, right? That's the only kind of doing business that he understands.
Yeah, can we pay him a couple bucks just to go away?
Maybe we.
I feel I'll contribute like 6 figures to Joe Biden just to leave.
Then we get Kamala.
If they don't,
that's
just
true.
because I think that would be that's a solid point.
So what is everybody saying online about this debate
Why do you
tonight?
want to say this really quick?
Well, I want to hear your thoughts.
Hold on, it is our sweetheart here, fabulous woman's birthday today.
Oh, that's
birthday,
right, 29.
Carrie.
It's a great milestone.
Thank you, Dawn.
Carrie.
It is the 26th year that I have celebrated my 29th birthday, and I will continue to do so because it's serving me well. Just keep celebrating 29. No, it's been a wild year. I think about what was going on a year ago. We were in the middle of our incredible campaign, which was all about returning the government to we the people, much like the America First campaign. We had an Arizona First campaign,
100%. And you did it as an outsider. Because actually, one of the questions I was going to ask you is, how does a conservative, this is from someone on Rumble, how does a conservative Republican, low-income construction worker get a seat in Congress to vote? How do they start this process? You came in as an outsider. Now, you were from media. It's a little different. Right. But how does someone get involved in the political process as a neophyte?
You should be able to. Did he say he's a construction worker?
He says he's a construction worker.
Our founding fathers envisioned that, a farmer, a merchant, a construction worker could go to D.C., serve their district, their state, whatever it may be, and then go back home and live their life. Unfortunately, we've got a system where you go and you become a lifer and you never leave. Yeah. And I think with your dad trying to restore our government and return it back to we the people, we were in the process of hopefully making that happen. But the political system is so deep. You have to have millions of dollars. Thankfully, I, and similar to your dad, President Trump, had name ID. And I was so fortunate to have millions of dollars in name ID after being in front of the camera and as a broadcast journalist in Arizona for almost 30 years. So I had millions of dollars in name ID, and that was able to get me around not having the billions of dollars that some of these other people had. Yeah. I don't know really the answer to that. How do we get just a regular person?
I think
but you're also
you may not run for
worker,
Congress right off the bat, right? But
that matters.
Run for
getting out there.
Run for your school board.
Right.
Make a difference there.
City council.
Get rid of. One of the issues I know that drives all of us crazy. Get rid of the bullshit, the indoctrination in your school board. Make a name for yourself there.
That's right.
Something that's not perhaps even a full-time job that you're doing on your side. You're volunteering your time. To me, that's almost more important than running for governor of Congress at a certain, at a certain level.
That is.
We have to capture those things and work our way up. And again, wanting to do it. And then also being able to do it and do it well and be able to take the heat. They're two different things. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that want to do it, and getting in that seat is a whole different world once you're there. So you got to find, like I said, what we were talking earlier with Marjorie about poll watchers. Like, a 90-year-old grandmother that's really sweet, probably not the best poll watcher. I love that they're willing to volunteer their time, but maybe she's better off doing something else. Find your friend who's the biggest tough guy killer. Not violent way, but in terms of mental acuity and being a lawyer or something, to be able to spot, witness bullshit, and then when they're intimidated by the Democrat left controlling that thing, actually stand up to it and not just be backed into a corner. I'm sure you saw a lot of people like that in Arizona with the nonsense that went on there.
Well, and thankfully, people said, "What did you do to stop election fraud?" I said, "Well, we did everything we could on the back, at the front end. We had poll workers, poll watchers, observers, attorneys." But we would have never expected them to literally rig the machines to break
Right.
down and sabotage election day. So we did all that, and thank goodness we did, because then we had people taking video, people documenting what was happening to show how they sabotage election day. But you made a great point. Start down in the school board. Start down in your town council.
Yeah.
Start volunteering at your kid's school. It's very local is how we say. When we go and start working and improving our neighborhoods, we improve our communities, our counties, and then our states. Maybe you don't aim for going right into the House of Representatives until you work your way up a little bit. Just like with a job, you start at the ground floor,
Yeah.
you work hard, you prove yourself, and you move on up.
But so
No, I
much
said
of it,
it's not easy. I saw it with my father. They're like, when people were like, hey, you should run for president. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not necessarily my dad, where you could start right at the presidency. But he had a 30-year career. He had name ID out
Success.
the wazoo.
He was a CEO,
Success,
an
billion.
executive,
It's a little
businessman.
different. And again, I'd love everyone to be able to have, but it doesn't always work that way,
Right.
right? Yeah, it's sort of.
Well, we got into it. I decided, maybe I was a bit naive, guys. I really did believe that our founding fathers envisioned, and as Ronald Reagan said, citizen politicians. And I said, everyone's encouraging me to run. We are in a world of hurt in Arizona. We have a wide open border. Maybe I'll just do it. And I jumped in. And I'm so glad I did, because our movement was really made up of real people in Arizona. And that movement is still strong. In a way, it's
I've seen
stronger
it.
today.
I mean, I've seen it, and again, I've done this a lot, and with the exception of Trump, there's not a candidate out there that has pulled that kind of, just organic crowds, actual crowds, not paid for, not three people in a circle like Joe Biden's able to, draw, but like actual organic crowds. So it's a big deal. Here's a question for Carrie.
Okay.
Do you still speak with the anchors from Fox News in Phoenix?
I speak with some of the people that I worked with, very few, and it's not because there's any rift. I just, when God moved me out of that chapter of my life, it really was a final chapter, and we closed a book. And we are in a new book now, and this
Exactly.
book is about saving America. And so I don't have a lot of time. I occasionally will text somebody. There's
You're
a few
on the
people
road
that
a
I keep
lot,
in touch
you
with.
know? You are on the road and working
I'm
hard.
on
And
the
the one
road
thing I
and
want to
working.
say about having been involved in doing politics for a very long time, the grassroots level is really important. I mean, you may not be the most well-known person, but if you get out there and attend all these community events, show up at this stuff, make a name for yourself, volunteer, get involved with your local Republican groups, like there's a path and a way to do that. Then next thing you know, you're like the local county person, the chairman in charge, or
Yeah.
in charge of this county, and you do get well known. You show up at things like this, like the debates and whatever, and you talk to people. I mean, it's about doing the hard work.
It really
like
is.
anything
It
else.
really
and
is.
you may have name recognition, but you work really hard. And you're
I
always
never
out
worked
there on the
harder,
road
and I
for
I worked
too.
hard my whole life because I came from a family where we didn't have a lot of means. We were poor, but nobody told us that, and so we just had to work hard for
And
everything.
you talk about that in your great book. Congratulations
Thank
on getting
you.
that. It's doing really well in sales.
It's amazing. It really is a good book, and I'm not just saying that because I wrote it. It's a great book. It's a page turner.
Where can people get it?
They
too,
can
so-
find it at carrielake.com. You can buy it straight from the publisher, and Don Jr. happens to be part of the
helped doing
publishing
that
team.
they tried shutting down conservative publishing, and during COVID lockdowns, I said, I'm bored. I got to make sure we have voices for myself
Right.
and for others, and so very excited to
and
have
one
done
of the
that.
reasons that I went with Winning Team Publishing, besides trusting Don and Sergio's great, is because you promised that I could tell my story without being censored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You go with one of these other publishers, they have the final say. And I knew that when I wanted to talk about election fraud and election theft and election crimes, they weren't going to let me talk about that. They weren't going to let me be honest. And so I really appreciate that. We really need a parallel economy that supports Americanism, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, by the way, I'm such a believer. Kim and I got involved with Public Square just to, again, create. We can vote with our wallets as well, and we have to, because so
It's
much
an act of protest.
corporate
Yeah.
America has weaponized, whether it's Rumble or others, but with Public Square, just having a place where people can find businesses whose interests are aligned with them.
That's
And
right.
now-
They share
now
your values. You can put
e-commerce.
that kid, that person's kid through soccer camp or whatever it is,
Right.
or you can give it to Starbucks so they can donate it to trans activism across the world. And it seems like an easy choice. We just have to take the time to sign up to do these things.
That's right.
Figure out where you can support people that share your values, because that makes a big difference.
Yeah, you're going to go out to dinner. I think we went out to Kimberly's for Kimberly's dinner that night, and we were in, where was it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
DC.
we were in Washington,
We were
D.C.
at
This was
the
CPAC.
The Monocle restaurant, and we found it because we
Good
went
memory.
on the public square. I'm the brains, babe. And we went on
untold,
the
but-
public square.
Yeah, okay, just kidding.
We went on the public square app because, like, where are we going to go? Washington, D.C. with like 16 super MAGA America First
it's
people
Kim,
to get murdered.
it's Matt Gaetz, it's Carrie, Nigel Farage, Raheem Kassam,
Terrence Williams, yeah.
Terrence Williams, like literally like.
Rick
Like
Grinnell
this was a protest waiting
Ultra
to
mega
explode and happen.
convention.
So like where can we go in DC to not be just fully canceled?
Right.
And so we looked up this restaurant. It was phenomenal. We're like, hey,
We
it's
loved
last
it.
minute. Can you seat like 20? And they were like,
That's great.
Who is? I was like this. They were like, we'd love to have you. It was so
And
like even in the
and you
heart
shot a
of the
video
haters.
of it. It went viral.
You know what? Let me talk a little
was
bit about
great.
that, because here we were in D.C. We were literally in the swamp with the family who has helped drain the swamp most, the Trump family. But I'm finding, and I'm traveling all over the country. I was in Portland, Oregon not too long ago, and I thought, okay, this could be really dicey. I've never had more people come up to me, want my picture, want to tell me thank you for what you're doing,
Nice.
fighting for election integrity. They said, we are trapped, we are held hostage in an election system that is so corrupt, we can't get out of it. So we appreciate you fighting for election integrity. In New York City, I'm walking down the street, people point to me, Carrie Lake, don't stop fighting. Our elections are messed up. Thank you for fighting for it. I really believe we have an opportunity, and I know that in the Make America Great movement, in the America First movement, your dad brought a lot of people over who were former Democrats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There are millions of disaffected Democrats who are so wide awake now. They're realizing their retirement savings has shriveled up. They're realizing that they have to spend $700 more a month just to survive the way they were before in Joe Biden's economy. They're watching as the streets are not safe anymore, and they're going, wait a minute, this isn't the Democrat Party I thought it was.
Right.
And if they look closely at President Trump's Agenda 47 and look at the solutions he has to solve these problems that Biden has gotten us into, I think that even Democrats will realize that, wow, these are solutions that are actually going to make all of our lives better. And I believe we have an opportunity to reach those disaffected Democrats who are fed up to hear
Carrie,
watching what's happening.
You experienced that same phenomenon in your campaign, where you were able to get disaffected Democrats and libertarians and independents to come
huge.
all over to build a big tent. But you went all over the place to see and address crowds, and maybe not necessarily every single person there was originally a Carrie Lake supporter, but you turned them around and they
We
came
went
back.
into the heart of Tucson, the most liberal part of Arizona. I just was talking to a woman today who's actually on the radio in Chicago, and she says, I got to tell you, my mom is a major Democrat. She voted for you, and so many of her friends did. Democrats are fed up too, many of them, with what they're seeing. They don't even recognize this party. They want to make sure that the middle class is thriving. Many
What do
of
you
them
mean,
are.
Carrie? Are you saying that trans activism isn't the social
Isn't the number
justice
one
issue of our time? Are you saying that energy independence is not at all important, and we should take our oil from Iran, Venezuela, Saudi,
Oh my
and all
gosh.
those people who love us so much?
We should divvy out water based on
Equity.
diversity, equity, and
Yes.
whatever the
Inclusion.
Inclusion.
Yes.
No, I
I
think
don't
we
think
should
you'd
all
be
get
getting
water.
any water, babes. That water
I would
ain't
be
getting
so
any water.
dehydrated, I would shrivel away like a raisin.
You don't meet our standards.
I would share
Yes,
my
Dawn,
no.
unfortunately, you're not going to get water today.
No water for you.
Well, and that's where it's going. I mean, it's going to where we're going to be punished for thinking the wrong way in their world, and I believe we are the super majority. I really do. Common sense policies that are going to save America, and this is going to be interesting tonight. I'm really torn because I want to watch President Trump and Tucker Carlson. I want to get something very
You can
substantive.
stream it on your phone.
So you can see, so
Maybe I'll listen
my
to it
father
in
will
there.
be on counter-programming the debates. If you're going to
Genius,
watch
by
the
the way.
debate, watch it on Rumble, because Rumble will be just streaming the debate live. Don't watch it on Fox News.
Don't give them
Don't give
the
them the
ratings.
viewership, because honestly, after 2 years of them shitting all over us, it's like I'm not going to do them any
and they're
favors.
trying to say that we
Well, I
couldn't
haven't been
come
on for a
in
year
the-
either.
in the room.
This is
I was banned when I was
master-
still polling at like second or third in the Republican primary. They
And you
stopped
weren't
having
even
me on.
running.
I got canceled. I got canceled a couple weeks ago.
Do you see how much he likes getting
on
canceled,
my,
though? Makes
Wait,
him happy.
the night of the first indictment arraignment, like I was like,
Why did you get canceled?
Well, about 5. I was supposed to be on, and then I won't mention with who because they're still a friend, but I think they got a call from Paul Ryan or someone and couldn't do it 5 minutes before the show. Apparently, they had a better person to talk about my father's indictment as a surrogate than me.
Than Donald Trump Jr.?
than me,
Okay.
but I don't know. Maybe that person actually existed. Somehow I doubt it, but maybe.
You know, you're an effective communicator, and you to effectively communicate the America First movement, the agenda, and the policy. And a lot of people don't want that.
No,
and that's
they
why I
don't.
think they were trying to ban people from the spin room. I think it might have gotten resolved, but hey, listen,
Well, I think it got resolved because people basically started saying, hey, how are you any different than the Democrats who are trying to silence their opposition, or
good point.
China for that matter? So it was like, well Fox News is going to not allow Congress people or people that
And
ran
by the
for
way,
governor.
that would be a first, because all the debates, having worked for Fox for a zillion years, I mean, that would be
a first.
unprecedented. It would be a first.
I'm actually upset that you don't have other people like Larry Elder and stuff on the stage,
I am
because I think
too.
they, again, I see
Really
a bunch
sad.
of like
I saw
sort of
him last
neocon
night.
warmongers. I don't see someone who speaks not that language.
For the real people.
Yeah.
And Larry Elder, I saw him last night. You know, he had 3. He met all the criteria, and they said it wasn't good enough. Larry speaks about problems that we really need to talk about fatherless homes, about school choice, freedom in our education, so that all kids can have the opportunity to get a good quality education. He speaks about issues that really need to be spoken about on that stage, and I hate that they're not letting him on. I'm still praying that there'll be a little miracle and somehow Larry Elder might end up on that stage. I think it'll make it a better debate. But the big event tonight that everyone's going to be watching is Tucker Carlson interviewing President Trump. And I talked to your dad probably an hour ago, and he said it's going to be a good interview. And he sounds really good, but he's also telling me, because I think things are going to get worse before they get better. And that's a tough
we
place
talked
to
to
be.
him last night.
Like we're so in that mix that it's sort of like we're used to like how much worse can you get than 4, but it's like I think the American people, it still hasn't gotten down to that level. They're
I'm there.
feeling it. They have
I'm
to
ready
feel
for
it.
a change. But if
Oh, yeah.
some people aren't there yet, if things get worse, maybe they will get to that point. I hate to think we have to have things go so low before we can turn things around.
Yeah.
I think really quickly about the debate tonight. We're watching it's kind of like we're at the Thanksgiving dinner and we're keeping an eye on the kids' table here. What I hope
The vice
happens-
presidential debate should be rather amusing. It'll be
It
cute.
will be. It
It'll
might
be
be
cute,
cute.
like the kids' table.
It'll be very cute. But what I'm hoping happens is that they don't spend their time attacking President Trump. I hope, conversely, they come out and show support for President Trump. The weaponization of our federal government against a political rival by Joe Biden and his cronies is reprehensible.
Yes, it is.
And criminal, in my opinion. And so I hope that they speak out in support of President Trump, talk about the issues, and show people that Republicans are all about solving our problems.
Yeah, and I think the person that does that actually probably sees a boost towards the second place
That's right.
poll.
That'd
So,
be great.
yeah.
Because the guy that was in second place, I'm hearing, is now in 4th place. So
Yeah, you hear what he says. You see the flip-flops. They want consistency. They want this. So
that's right. You
Well,
guys
Carrie,
are awesome. Thank
great
you.
having
Terry,
you as
thank
always.
you so much. And
Great
by the
having you
way,
guys as always.
even getting here and flying over here, people were asking us,
Well,
is
spending
Carrie
time on
Lake
her
gonna
birthday.
run?
She's here on
I
her
know,
birthday.
On her
Like,
birthday,
here
working as
She's
usual.
an animal. She's all in. I love
People
it.
want to know about, and they're very supportive about you running for United States Senate. A lot of enthusiasm. Like I said, we were asked about it when we were on our way over here.
I'm seriously considering it. It would be great to see more senators who have America First policies and ideology going into Washington, D.C. rather than, pushing for the uniparty. And I'd like to see people there to help support President Trump's agenda. It's an agenda that's going to work for America, and I want to be there to support that. So I'm making up my mind here, hopefully in the next few months.
Well, we're
nice.
super excited and
Awesome.
supportive of you. And where can people go to get more information? We plugged the book, but they want to get involved to support you.
CarrieLake.com.
You can go to me,
CarrieLake.com.
my page on Twitter at Carrie Lake, Karilake, Getter, Truth Social, Facebook, all the usual suspects. But we do a lot on Twitter, and we're on Rumble as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you for
Thanks
both
so
what
much.
you guys are
Great seeing
doing.
you.
One of the great couples in
Pleasure.
America. Thanks,
you.
guys.
God bless.
No problem. Well, guys,
All
that was the
right.
great Carrie Lake. Excited to have her. Now, we got to actually
Future U.S. Senator.
really interesting guest coming on right now for the next half hour, Patrick Bet David.
Woo!
How are you?
10 minutes? 10 minutes? Okay, we got 10 minutes. I think we're running a little bit low.
I'm assuming
or
Kimberly's
long.
cold because it's freezing here,
I
right?
know,
It's
right?
cold.
I'm just impressed
I was
you're
going to
wearing
bring a jacket for you.
Although, I'm going to start looking like Ron DeSantis sweating through the shirts. The
Oh
difference is
my
I've been here for
God.
like an hour and a half.
Took you 20 seconds to take a shot at Ron.
Well, yeah,
20
it was
seconds.
quick.
That's good.
It was quick.
I respect it.
But listen, outside of politics, you
Yeah.
do a lot, whether business and otherwise. I'd like to hear from you just your thoughts on strategy. You have the pundits, and I see the people on Fox News that used to be Trump people being told by Fox, Trump really should debate tonight. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, as an intelligent individual, if you're leading something by 60 points, do you give someone the freebie, the 3 hours sort of freebie to try to take shots at you?
You don't, but here's also the thing. You know, if there is ever been a chance for Governor Ron DeSantis to make up, imagine you're in the playoffs, your team is down 3-0, okay? Every game is game 7. If he doesn't show up tonight, it's game over for him because
I
next
agree.
debate,
I agree.
your father's probably going to show up and they're not going to get, whether it's going to be CNN, whether it's going to be whoever doing the debate, they have to target on the person everybody wants to talk to. So 30-40% of it's going to go to your father, and then everybody else gets the other 60%. Today, it's free-for-all, which means Vivek's got an opportunity. We know he's been creating a lot of momentum for himself. You know, DeSantis got an opportunity. They're going to target them too. I think Tim Scott's going to come up with what happened last week with, I think he just got $20 million commitment from Larry Ellison. Not saying he's supporting him, just kind of like, hey, here's where we are. But there's going to be potential for a few guys to step up tonight.
Who do you think have stepped up recently? Who's saying the things in your mind that are important?
People
because
need to hear.
I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
As someone, obviously I'm biased, right? I
Sure,
get that,
of
but I can
course.
also understand my bias.
Right.
I understand where I'm coming from, and that's fine. But I do see a lot of divergence with, if I just take the people on that stage, maybe not so much with the people who didn't quite make it. There's a lot of sort of the neocon, like Ukraine war Republicans. I've never met that Republican in Wisconsin, or there's plenty of them in D.C.
Sure.
What do you see there?
Well, again, going back to it. So today, everybody, when you're thinking about strategy, Vivek, for me, has got the biggest upside. He's selling the dream. He's selling America. He's selling the concerns and connecting with the audience better than anybody else is on the right. It's just what you have to say. I mean, put your father aside.
And young people as well.
And young people, and he's touching certain topics that's controversial, but he's doing it in a way that's he's a very good communicator. He's almost like a trifecta. He's done well in business.
Yes.
He's young, very good at policies, very well read. He's tough to debate. They try to corner him, whether Acosta try to corner him.
Yeah.
Everybody that's tried to corner him, he somehow, some way comes out, and I think that's big for him. Again, Ron, the biggest challenge with the governor, if we put on a golf score, okay, put golf score and put policies, he's going to be up there, okay, when it comes down to policies. Put, military background, he's got the military background. Put experience in office running a big state, winning during COVID. The governor's got it.
Executive
There's no
experience, yeah.
question about it, right? But when it comes down to connecting with me, I want to know that I relate to you, that you think about me. If you speak over me, you're going to lose me. So it's going to be very interesting to see if he knows how to connect with the audience today. Everybody else, Chris Christie, he's just here to be a useful, take shots, and, he's going to go after.
Like
I
he
said
did
it
with Marco
earlier.
Rubio.
Yeah.
In that
The
debate.
Fox, I understand why they want Trump to debate for ratings. Obviously, that's a smart business decision. I also understand that for Trump, it's smart to not, you don't put yourself in a position like
Is
that.
anybody saying like he should be here? Who is saying that
Well,
he should be here?
I
don't
see
think
the
anybody.
Fox pundits, some of them used to be Trump team.
Yes.
Corporate Fox is saying, no, it'd be a really good idea for Trump to show up. Like, I can't think of a single good idea. And again, it's not like Trump's never debated before. Like, I think
No.
Hillary learned that the hard way.
Right.
He'll
He's a
be
very
fine.
good
So
debater.
did Jeb, and so did all the others. I don't think he has any bona fides to prove in that world. Plus, he has a record. But now he actually has something he didn't have coming in as an outsider.
Right.
He has a knowledge of who the snakes are and who's going to be beneficial. You know what I mean? Chris Christie's on that stage, and he'll talk about Trump's hiring, but he was in charge of the transition. The people that were initially put in there were literally recommended by Chris Christie.
It's
So, like,
pretty
he had to
Right,
do something
right,
different.
right.
Like, he's there running a New Hampshire gubernatorial race, right? He's running a one-state primary, spending all his time, money, resources so he can try to overperform there to try to turn that into some sort of other win there. Maybe not a stupid strategy. You know, you overperform in the second state. I don't think it's going anywhere.
There's nothing about fighting for. There's only a couple people that are fighting for number one. Everybody else is fighting for a job or fighting for helping whatever else they're doing. Yeah, I think the more important question people want to ask you is if you have any kind of insight, you know, on who your father may take as a VP. Is Tim Scott somebody that you guys are seeing as a potential?
I think there's a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of people that perhaps aren't on that stage.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, listen. Again, if I look at that stage,
is there a possibility
I see a lot of, pro-Ukraine war Republicans. That doesn't exist. Certainly not in the America First movement. Again, that's the Mitch McConnell Rhino Republican stance. That's wonderful. But Mitch said that with a straight face. It's the number one issue. I've literally, and I don't know if you know enough about what I do when I'm, but speak to grassroots Republican groups all over the world, and I'll ask the question: is Ukraine a top issue for you? Top 1, 2? Is it a top 5? Is it top 10? I've never seen a single hand go up as a top 10 issue, Ukraine, for us. Not a single hand. I guarantee you thousands more people than Mitch McConnell has ever assembled, and it's just not an issue for our people right now. It's the new religion of the left, and I'd like to sort of see your thoughts on that. Whatever you see the transition, right? It was climate change. The holy deity of that was Greta Thunberg, and then it became COVID, and that was Fauci. Then it became Zelensky, and now that's even dying off a little bit. It's going back to COVID. I don't know. I don't think it'll be Fauci this time, but how do you see that? Where there's always someone they seem to worship, and it's become the religion of the left.
Great marketing. Give them credit because what you sometimes have to do as a marketer. We have the issues that we all see, right? We can talk about border. It's an issue we all see. We can talk about economy. It's something we all see. We can talk about the national debt. It's something we all see. We can talk about Ukraine. Now there's a dissension. There's a division where you're kind of like, we give how much money to Ukraine? 125 billion. Yet we give $700 a person to Hawaii after what just took place here. You know how embarrassing that is for the administration.
I thought that was The Onion. I read it and I literally thought I was being punked. I was like, wait, is this a parody
I felt the same way. You and I both. Yeah.
Honestly, it's disgusting. To me, we can talk, and I'm guilty of it myself. We get outraged about stuff that's not really outrageous, and the other side does that much better than we do. But when I saw that, I go, Joe Biden. Well, I almost lost my Corvette once in a 20-minute house fire that was solved magically, in 2 seconds. To saying that to people who lost children, now you're going to give them $700 as a consolation prize.
But by the way, to me, that gets people to say, it's kind of like, you have your kids, okay? You got your kids you're taking care of and a neighbor's kids, okay? Your kid has an issue. You don't pay for your kid's college education, or you don't pay for your kids to go out there and start a business, but you pay for your neighbor's kids. Your kid is going to sit there and say, I'm sorry, I don't care which way we vote. Mom, Dad, why are you supporting the neighbor?
Yeah.
So you're taking care of Ukraine, who's not even a neighbor, but you're not taking care of your own kids.
Ukraine's border security is far more important than ours.
That's where there's credibility to know there's motives that you and I don't know about, stuff behind closed doors, or maybe even know about, but the public hasn't bought into it yet. But I think these types of issues are things that a lot of people are talking about, and we're going to see how they're going to address it tonight.
And by the way, to answer your other question, I think there's only two people we've highlighted them during our time with you, Tim Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy, that are even to even look at. I don't think the rest of them are worthy of any kind of vice presidential position or otherwise, and certainly not with our base.
It's interesting. Vivek is actually saying the things that I probably agree with the most, but I just don't know where he was 6 months ago. Is
that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
I don't know, because I do understand that.
Fair question.
Listen, I am 45 now. I got brought into this wonderful political journey at 38, and my views on things have changed once I've learned more. I say the biggest mistake I made in politics was not sort of getting and supporting General Flynn right off the bat, but I'm sitting there being like, well, the CIA. No, I didn't say anything against him, but I was like, well, if the CIA and the FBI and the NSA is saying that he did something, there must be some truth to it. I now realize that's total bullshit. There doesn't have to be any truth to any of these things.
You should know better than anybody.
You can evolve, but again, I don't know where Vivek was in 16 or 18. Did he feel any of these things, or is he a smart business guy, which I think he is?
And a smart marketer.
He's adapting to what the crowd wants to hear. So I don't know that I can trust him yet, even if I like what he's saying.
But that's okay. There's nothing wrong. It's his job to earn your trust, right? Have you done something with him yet? Have you had him on your show?
I haven't,
okay.
so I don't know.
I would love to see that. I'll give you these final thoughts with Vivek before we wrap up and go to the next guest. We did a town hall with him 3 weeks ago at the office. And one of the questions I asked him at the end, I said, so tell me about vaccine. Did you take the vaccine? And you could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable, but he said it. He says, yeah, at the time I was traveling, I was trying to do business. I did take the vaccine, but if I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't. I think that's very fair, so they're asking about World Economic Forum, the link to Soros, some of those things where people are a little bit uncomfortable
that gets a little
about.
bit scarier.
But we should keep asking it and investigate and see what we come up with.
Well, I could say the same about Elon, right? I love what he's doing. I think he's a genius of our time, like an Einstein-type figure. I'm also worried that he's a little too close to China because he doesn't have a choice. Battery technology and Tesla. So you do have to take the good and the bad. You can say that something may be great, but you can still be cautious about something else. I think that's a fair approach.
Let's stay, they say only the paranoid survive. I think we should stay a little bit paranoid and see what happens.
And Vivek is willing to put himself out there and answer the questions and show up, and we'll see how he does tonight. I'm looking to see
really
how
curious.
he performs tonight.
I think that's likely the guy that probably overperforms if I have to look on, based on everything else. So we'll see.
And they're probably all going to be taking shots at Ron DeSantis. A few at Trump, but you'll see.
I think there'll be plenty of Trump talk tonight.
Can't wait to see how Ron handles that. Cannot wait to see that.
They're going to come for him to take him down from that top
Patrick,
spot.
pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much.
Really
Thank you.
Wonderful to be with
We'll
you.
see you around.
Thank you. We'll see you later on. All right, Princess, what do we got now? What do we got
right. Let's see. Do we have Alex? Are you coming on right now, or is Matt Gaetz? Okay.
Wrestling you? Perfect. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, again, apologize for the informality. What's happening, man? How's it going, guys?
How we doing?
Doing well yourself?
Doing very well.
So, what are you thinking so far?
Well, I'm thinking so far. I think this is a really exciting Secretary of Education debate. Look, I think Ron DeSantis...
Who wants to be the dog catcher of America?
Well, look, I think Ron DeSantis has a great track record to be Secretary of Education if he takes out that line about slavery and then go from there. But look, I think it's going to be an exciting Secretary of Education debate. That's how I'm looking at it.
Well, Alex is not going to... I'm shocked that you came out of the gate hot, Alex. I'm shocked that somebody
I don't know why he wants to ruin the Secretary of Education position and the whole department. I don't understand.
Well, how about we appoint him and then we abolish the Secretary of Education?
Okay, there you go. There you go.
So what are you thinking? Who overperforms tonight?
Look, I think Vivek has raw political talent. I think that out of all of the candidates on the stage, he's the most authentic. He kind of channels some of that Trump energy that we saw in 2016, and he's not a career politician. I think that's exciting. I think that resonates with the people. But I think your father is winning this debate no matter what happens.
Yeah, I think at the end, this is Trump is going to win the nomination. We know that. He's polling incredibly well. I mean, I was just in Pickens with your father. 50,000 people in weather just like this.
Wow.
I mean, it was incredibly hot. So, I mean, there's certainly talent on the stage, for sure, but I think people want a return to what your father delivered on for the American people, and particularly the American worker.
Well, I always, and I say it on the show a lot, I always say, I'm the son of a billionaire, and if I'm pissed off when I'm in the grocery store, like, how is everyone else not feeling this?
Yeah.
And how can anyone with a straight face not attribute literally each and every one of these things to Joe Biden? I mean, there's not a single metric, frankly, economic or socioeconomic or just geopolitical at this point that you could say that we're better off now than we were 4 years ago. And so the question is, how much influence do you think, mainstream media, the cover that they run for Joe Biden and the Democrats? Because I don't want to even say it's Joe Biden. I don't think Joe Biden's capable of making even basic decisions, let alone major ones. The Democrat Party and whatever they're sticking in front of him to sign. Mainstream media, big tech, and their influence over people, changing the narrative, pretending things are what they aren't, doing the sleight of hand that they've been doing for quite some time. They're getting caught now. But have the American people fully embraced that and understood just how badly they've been lied to?
I think so. I mean, you to your point, you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you try to buy a house nowadays. You can't do it. You can't do any of the things that you could 4 years ago.
The rates are so
Yeah,
high.
I had a mortgage reset just like an arm.
Right.
And I was like, literally, my interest rate doubled.
Yeah.
Or like just the interest component of my mortgage doubled. And I'm like, if that's like enough to be like, oh crap to me, like what's it doing to a family, living, in their dream home, and all of a sudden that goes double.
Yep.
Their price at the tanks are double. Price at the grocery store is double, and their wages have not grown.
No. They've gone down, in fact, and you know, inflation is not. I mean, inflation is far surpassing wage growth, and this administration and all his policies are squarely going. So I think people wake up. I think they're waking up in a powerful way, and that's why, you know, President Trump is going to get the nomination again, and he's going to get back in the White House.
And to your point, is people waking up? It's like, hopefully we do get some of those disaffected, you know, Democrats, independents, libertarians, and more people, because we certainly need to probably get another like 15 million votes to ensure a win in the general election. So it's also about that outreach and getting that messaging across so that people understand, like, hey, listen, there's a choice, there's a difference. Plus, they have the benefit of having President Trump in office, so they have the juxtaposition of how the economy was, infrastructure, manufacturing, national security, you know, foreign policy, all of the above.
At no point in 2020 was President Trump even remotely close in the polls, and he only lost by 40,000 votes. And you know, you had in 2020 he was losing by 7 to 10 points in the polls, like at this stage, and now he's winning in the Real Clear Politics average, where he's the only Republican that can beat Joe Biden according to what's out there right now.
Yeah, we spoke about this earlier, I think, with Marjorie, and that used to be their entire argument.
Right.
They based the entire DeSantis campaign around he's the only one that can beat Joe Biden. But there's not a single national poll
that
shows him
that.
actually doing that anymore.
Right.
It did for a 2-week period when he was, you know, before people started actually hearing him, you know, speak for himself, not like a creation online.
People started
but
ruining
actually
him
like seeing him
online.
on a stage or seeing him, you know, behind a bar or sweating like I am right now, but in like a 2-minute sweat, you know, 2-minute speech in a cold area instead of 95 degrees out. That's just different.
Well, a very smart man once tweeted, the more people learn about Ron DeSantis, the less they like Ron DeSantis. And that's just become the case.
I think that could be me, but well, that was based on having spent weeks with him in 2018, helping him, you know, run. You do something, you do, you know, weeks on a bus with someone, you headline for him, you get up there, you get the crowds, you do that, you get your father to do it, you know. I mean, I spent real time. You know, you don't get a thank you or a callback or this. It's just a political machine. It's like whatever he's going to do to please whoever's going to get him to that next area. But beyond that, you also see him on stage, and you realize it's like there's no charisma. There's no this. If his wife was actually running, there's a little bit of charisma there at least. But
A little bit.
Yeah, she's not. So it's different.
And I think to your point, I mean, people want somebody authentic. I mean, no one questions the authenticity of your dad. I mean, they want somebody who's real, who delivers, who has delivered, and people just want real. I mean, I think they're tired of cookie cutter, you know, sterile, stale politics as normal. Yeah. I mean, they go to the grocery store every day and they go, why can't I not even buy a dozen eggs right now? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Who's the young guy? He's so smart. Oh God, I can't believe
It's true.
It's
true.
Many people have said that. I think Alex has been tweeting. Guys, it's Alex Brusiewicz. Follow him on Twitter. You'll see probably in my feed somewhere there if you don't. Because I'm not going to even attempt to spell Brusiewicz as much time as I spent with you. That's a disaster. But yes, young, aggressive, conservative. On the Trump train since like high school.
True.
Still a baby. But what early retweet from Donald Trump, and he got involved in the game and has become a political animal since.
MSNBC called me Trump's top Twitter troll today.
Wow.
So, you know, I got the MSNBC.
Apparently, I'm losing my touch.
Well, I say that you're the intellectual, and I'm the troll. So, you know, you
there's
graduated.
things I'm like, oh God, I can't say it. It's like, oh, Alex will say that. Like, let him say that. It's
Don
fine.
Jr. and Kat Turner are the intellectual thought leaders of our party, and I'll take the troll.
Oh
Perfect.
my God.
All right, we
Yeah,
got
you gotta put that on.
Where's Cat Turd?
I told him earlier, he's got to put that on his Twitter profile or something. You know, just out there as, you know, top troll per MSNBC.
Dude, Russell, remember, it's important to remember that Russell took out Rhino Tom Rice after he voted to impeach
Oh, that's right.
Trump.
Yeah.
And Russell stepped up and knocked him out, and it wasn't even close,
And
was it?
thank you for
That's
that,
a big
by
one.
the way.
Yeah. No.
So good.
Huge.
was good.
So what else is going on?
I mean, at least in Congress right now, we're doing the oversight stuff. I served with Jamie Comer. I think he's doing a great job. I mean, you know, you got two lanes, really. You got the Hunter Biden corruption, the crime family, and then you've got the cover-up. And I think that's really the biggest thing to me.
Yeah, Watergate was the cover.
Right.
I mean, there's a real crime here, too. Do you have enough time to get both of those things done? I'm sort of glad that you guys are focused in on two things, not, you know, we have to make the mistake, and I think part of it is the Democrats sort of set us up.
Yeah.
Everybody's shining up, let's chase it all, and there's not enough time when you deal with the process, and there is a process. And, you know, you ask for something, and they have 3 weeks, and you'll get that on the 7th day in the 23rd hour, 59th minute,
Correct.
59th second of that 3 weeks. You'll get it, and then there'll be an error, and then it starts the clock again. they're obviously trying to slow play you guys. What can you do to prevent that from happening in oversight?
Well, I think they've been aggressive. One thing, at least from from an internal staff perspective, the lawyers that are in oversight and judiciary, they're seasoned. They've done this before. I say this on the stump a lot, but I think we've done more in 6 months than some of these agencies have done in 6 years, which is unconscionable. When you have an FD 1023 that says that Hunter and Joe got $5 million apiece and nobody investigates it, I mean, this is just
Well, by the way,
this is
the
lunacy.
media's not even asking the question.
Right.
If it was Don Jr., and I mean, we were actually international business people before this. Not like
Right.
I magically became one the second my father, won the presidency and formed all the shell entities. I mean, you had more than smoke. You actually have real evidence. And no one's even like, they're like, ho-hum.
No.
They're also not asking whether our Ukraine policy is being influenced by the fact that someone else knows this and is holding it over their heads. Like, these are basic
be
questions.
obvious. They answered
If we
that.
had a media rather than regime
They took the
propagandists,
money.
they'd be asking.
Well, and they do this all the time. I mean, the day I told this story today, but the day that we dropped the initial tranche of financial disclosure, we gave the media. It was easy. It was, here's the blueprint. Here's all the transactions. Here's pictures. You can see everything. And they wanted to talk about Republicans and like Republicans who were in trouble. And I'm going, guys, like you just dropped the biggest, most salacious bombshell ever, and you want to talk about something completely different? Where is our national media?
Yeah.
But I think they're finally starting to pay attention a little bit.
Well, we appreciate it, guys. We appreciate what you're doing. Thanks for all of that. Keep it going. And if not, Alex is going to hate tweet you, so you better make sure that happens. And I may just retweet it because it's not quite as bad as saying it myself.
That's right. Good to see
Appreciate
you.
it, man. Great seeing
Thank you for being with us. God bless.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for being there. Alex, we see you later.
God bless.
All right, guys. We're still alive. We're still going strong. And we have the great Matt Gaetz coming on next. Matt always brings the fire. Although, with this wind, the hair may be.
You got to get some of the Don Jr.
You need some
hair
of the Don
product
Jr.
there.
product, Matt. Your hair's too nice, and the flow is too great. But it's susceptible to the wind like a sail.
And the only place where there's any air conditioning is a tiny little room down there.
Yes.
And if you deploy the amount of hairspray that I require in a room like that, it becomes very combustible.
Listen, I come from a
Literally.
family of, let's say, hairspray addicts.
Yes.
It's hard to be in the room with my father with that.
I
one, too,
used this
holding that-
hairspray once. They almost kicked me off the campaign.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a Diet
there's
Coke and a
only
hairspray.
12 bottles,
You can't-
Matt. There's
Oh,
only
yeah.
12
Oh,
bottles.
You
yeah.
can't touch it.
We
Yeah.
must
The key,
preserve.
Matt, is to be like one of the last ones after he leaves, and they leave some of the cans there, and you snag those. Okay, that's the pro
So
tip.
can we just walk through what is happening right before our eyes?
Yeah,
a group of
can't
about
see it.
40 Trump supporters have shown up with some unpleasant things to say about Governor DeSantis on their
those-
signs, and they are standing in front of the Never Back Down, or as we sometimes call it, the Always Back Down bus.
Well,
And-
never back down to your billionaire donors.
Well, by the way, they've backed down on the
Just everything.
bus itself. The bus has been commandeered. If they get any closer to that bus, this is actually an insurrection.
Ginger,
Oh,
we may,
God, here we
go
go again.
find the leader of that group. We may have to bring them onto the live
Who
stream
is
right
leading
now.
them? But I tell you, it's quite something here with our candidate in such a historic position. I mean, not since like George W. Bush in 2000 has someone had a lead like this in Iowa, and I think it's because people who are going to be voting in these primaries and participating in these caucuses know the fight we are in.
Yeah.
And these other folks, I'm sure, are kind people and have got some good ideas, but we
Well,
are
they
in
want
a
to be
fight.
on MSNBC as the fake contributor.
Sure. Whatever it is that brought them to this moment, it is certainly not taking on a corrupt administrative state that has been turned against regular people. You know, the media focuses a lot about how it's been turned against President Trump, and that's troubling. But they're just regular folks out there every day, wondering why they're not able to get a building permit and make housing a little more affordable in their community. There's a teacher out there somewhere filling out their 7th form for the Federal Department of Education, and we're going to be their voice, and we're going to put people in this administration when President Trump is back in power who are going to be back on the side of everyday folks.
Honestly, talk a little bit about. You're from Florida, obviously.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis is your governor.
He is.
And
Yours
mine is being
too.
from Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
Yeah, but talk a little bit about what people don't know. You're seeing the decline in the polls, and it's because, in my opinion, they're actually getting to see the guy, not the creation online.
Yeah, look, we're all a little
so
quirky.
You actually warned me about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
You were onto this, be like, hey, listen, you're going to do all this work, you're not even going to get a thank you, and you are right.
So in a lot of parts of politics, right, if you grab on to certain vectors like really impressive fundraising, or you're exceptional at media, or you give great speeches, that will take you really far. You can win congressional seats, become a senator, a governor. But the key vertical you've got to be able to really master to become president is to show that empathy and to create that connection. And no super PAC can buy it for you.
That's right.
You know, when Donald Trump walks in to a Dairy Queen or a pizza parlor and the place erupts, when he shows up at the Iowa State Fair and people wait by the thousands baking on asphalt just for a chance to get a glimpse at him, there's a connection there that is so real and so
Tangible.
powerful. And it's actually why I think so many of the interests, the corrupt interests in this country are working against President Trump, because they see the nature of that. And, you know, Ron has many talents. He's a bright guy, but he doesn't connect with people in a way that I think you have to be able to run for president in this
And you
day
can't
and age.
manufacture that. So I think people are
Right.
seeing it. It was easy to be in kind of Florida and our little, like, you know, Sunshine State bubble. And then now that he's had to get out there and interact with more people and do interviews, it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge
But
for
I
him.
admit, like, we're all a little weird, right? Like, if you ran for president, KG, or Don ran, or I ran, there'd be things about us that are a little weird that people would pick up on. Ron just happens to have a ton of those, an avalanche of them,
yes.
and they are consuming the whole candidacy.
But so I want to talk to you about this, because a lot of people are saying, well, who's going to be the one to watch tonight? I think he's got the most pressure on him, because he needs to,
I'm watching Doug Burgum. A big breakout from North Dakota's Doug
I've
Burgum. When
literally-
people hear North Dakota's story, you're going to see these polls.
I actually campaigned for Burgum a couple times, and I was like, I didn't remember when they were like the North Dakota governor. I was like, I couldn't remember his names. I was like, hey, you know, it's different. I guess it's interesting. Let's see what happens.
I gave a quote to a reporter about Doug Burgum today where I misspelled the name, and then the reporter didn't know to correct it before printing it.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes, no, I honestly, you know, it's do or die time for Ron DeSantis, and in a lot of ways, people are on this stage for their own legacy in the party. In a way, Vivek Ramaswamy is trying to create a legacy around a series of ideas. I think Ron DeSantis is going to have to return to Florida, be the governor for 2 additional years,
there is a
and
component of that.
he wants that legacy to be preserved.
I live there, and I saw, you know, sort of unprecedented flooding in Fort Lauderdale. But he's on, you know, he was on the perpetual book tour. The longest book tour in the history of book tours. Before,
And
he
the three of
wasn't
us
in
know book
Fort Lauderdale.
tours.
Yeah, we know book tours. I've done a lot of them.
We know book tours.
You know,
The
for
second
myself
longest
and
on the
for
planet
others.
Earth.
Yeah, probably. But you know, it's just different. Like, you're also, people of Florida elected him to actually run that state, to
To
do
be
that,
governor.
knowing you were going to do this, because, you know,
And he was
Jeff
just
Rowe and all
reelected,
those,
and then he took off.
You know, 6 months later, you're doing this. It's going to be a full-time job for 2 years. Like, who's actually running the state?
Well,
now?
and if
again,
if
it's
Glenn
functioning
Youngkin
fine
gets
without
in,
him, so like,
Yeah.
is all the things that he did, how much is it really the governor?
well, we've
Talk
had
about Youngkin.
you know, generations of Republican success in Florida that I think have, you know, put us in a position where we could tell a good story. If you see a Glenn Youngkin get in this race after Iowa, which I think is quite possible, the very dynamic you just described, I think will also arrest some of his political capability. Because imagine being a Virginian, you're like, we elect you for 1 4-year term, and you can't even give us the full deal before running for president.
Well, the reality, though, I mean, if Glenn Youngkin gets in, that's the death knell for Ron DeSantis.
Oh, sure. I mean,
because
there's
it's like you just split that vote right in half.
Well, the theory of the case is that in Iowa, after the DeSantis campaign folds up shop and after the Mike Pence campaign folds up shop, that someone could reemerge to try to coalesce those entities. Now, you know, I don't think that the gluttonous Chris Christie is going to get out in New Hampshire for Glenn Youngkin or anyone else.
Do you mean
So
the single
bad.
state presidential primary
Gluttonous.
candidate, Chris Christie?
Yeah, I mean,
in the
well,
New Hampshire
I've never
strategy?
seen someone announce their campaign for presidency in front of a crowd so small it looks like a homeowners association meeting.
Ban the
Brutal.
HOA.
Right, right. Well, and if Chris Christie ends up dead under strange circumstances, KG, I am your alibi.
Exactly.
Where I was with you
The
no matter
nerve
what happened.
of him, okay? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well,
How about his poor, long-suffering wife? You want to talk about Mistress Christie?
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
This is gonna be a hot hour.
Yeah, it's gonna get hot. It's gonna get hot. But no,
Facts.
it's. I feel like it's getting so hot. I'm actually sweating like Chris Christie
I
in a
mean,
buffet line.
Oh my God! The Chris
With the
Christie joke
anticipation.
just
Yes.
keeps going.
Listen, I think he may have chose New Hampshire because of all the wonderful diners that people have to go. You can
Well, I
get
hear the
they-
maple
they-
syrup is terrific.
It's
And there's
wonderful. You
another
can drink
one.
it straight, almost like Elf. Yeah, so what else do you see, Matt? What are you expecting to see? Most out of tonight. And by the way, there are a lot of people in here. Matt Gaetz. What's the next move? I see some Matt Gaetz for president. I see some
no.
Matt Gaetz for governor.
I want him to be governor first for
if
Florida.
you run for governor, will you promise to at least be governor?
I would definitely enjoy that job so much I would never leave it if I ever got that opportunity.
I'm going to pre-endorse
Me too.
Matt Gaetz for governor of Florida right now. I'm going to be literally. I beat you to it, baby. I'm the first endorsement of Matt Gaetz
I already
for governor.
told him
Because
personally.
I just want to see the meltdown. The media absolute meltdown to that announcement. I just want to be front. I will be like your campaign, either manager, fundraiser, whatever. Like I will work on that campaign aggressively.
I'm not in the race yet, but I've signed up my first volunteer.
Yes,
Exactly.
And my
I
second.
am the first and second, and Kim's the second
And by the
volunteer.
way, now this might be a little bit interesting.
By the way,
But
but
people
there's-
talking about that his wife
Gov
wants
Gaetz.
to run.
Oh yes, Matt Gov.
Well, here's the other
Love,
thing. When we
Gov.
campaign, we have fun. We've campaigned
Yeah,
a lot
we've done
together,
a lot.
and it's
A
a
lot
joyful
of
thing.
events.
And when you see some of these candidates, they look so labored, and it's like it's torture for them to actually be around
Well, because
people.
they don't have personality.
And
They're not
interacting.
good with people.
Well, you've seen when they give
can't
me the
speak.
mic and they're like, "Well, what's your speech gonna be about?" Like, I don't know.
None of us know.
But I'll have a good time.
No one
Like,
knows.
and so will the crowd. I got a little sideways with, the Pence team back in 20.
Oh, here we go.
With that, because it was New Hampshire primary actually, and they're doing the first thing there. It's like a crowd of 17,000 in a hockey arena. And he was running a little bit late, so they're like, "Hey, Don, can you go longer?" I'm like, "Of course I can go longer." Like they're like,
Definitely.
"Well, how much time do you have?" I was like, "Just give me the 5 minute." And they come out, they give me the 5 minutes, got the crowd going. It was awesome, just incredible energy and whatever. And they're like, "Okay, 5 minutes. So I'm going to start to wrap up and give my introduction of Mike Pence." And they started chanting 46 for me.
That's right.
And he's sitting there backstage next to one of my guys. He goes, "Well, that's awkward." It happened again like the following week in Colorado, and from that point on, there was a directive that I'm not allowed to open for him anymore, which is sort of awkward
I
when
know,
you're trying
but
to
I
win a
love when you
campaign.
say
Like
this. It's
you would
so
think that the
brutal.
energy was like good, but like
The guy's already going to get killed tonight.
wow, like excuse me,
Right
Tucker
now.
murdered
Well, I mean,
Mike Pence 3
Before
weeks ago.
you?
Like Tucker, like come on, it's over.
Well, the Mike Pence theory of the case is a really questionable one when, as one of the most famous Republicans in the country, he barely got on this debate stage. Remember that? I mean, how he
they were struggling.
really struggled
Struggling.
just to be able to get there. And,
Well,
you
it's
know,
sort of hard when you basically said, "Hey, I'm not there about Americans" or whatever. I was like, and honestly, I don't care if it's a slip of the tongue. I've made mistakes. I speak impromptu. Like, come on, man. Like, you're not ready for the big leagues if you're making that mistake.
So when we get back, let me get your advice. Usually I just call you guys and ask for your advice, but
Yeah.
now everybody gets to hear it. We get back, there's a government funding bill up, and some people are going to say, well, we just have to do a continuing resolution to continue funding things the way we've been doing them. And I remember back when the three of us were very critical of the Mitch McConnell,
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi negotiated deal. I'd love your perspective on that.
Listen, there's a couple things in there. We were talking about that with Marjorie earlier. It's like, if it's the kind of thing where aid is packaged for Hawaii, as long as we give another $27 billion, $40 billion, $400 billion to Ukraine, then I'm against it. I do, though, as a business guy, as a finance guy, understand the implications of possible defaults if we don't. So I'm actually torn. We've had this conversation.
Yeah.
I see both sides of that argument. And so it's not as simple. I mean, I do love
If I vote to continue the Jack Smith investigation, if I vote to continue funding these IRS agents,
appropriations. That's what we do talk about. We don't listen with a four-person majority in the House, and we don't basically have the Senate, and there's so many rhinos there, it doesn't matter anyway.
Sure.
Even if we had it, we wouldn't have it because
I'm not sure we've ever had it in our lifetime.
I'm pretty sure we've never had it. Without the White House, I'm not expecting us to do a lot of legislation, but I do think we have to start hanging firm on the appropriation side. We have the power of the purse, and we do have to start using it.
Amen.
I don't want to default on our existing debts, but there has to be stuff about certain things going forward that we're not going to keep blindly funding
I
the
agree.
bullshit. And if
Blindly
Republicans
funding
can't
the
get
next
behind
World
that,
War.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
a very different story. Whether it's World War III, whether it's the political persecution of your enemies or others, there's a lot of things I think we have to hold firm on, and I expect a lot of Republicans to do the same.
Thanks for having me, brother.
All right,
Got my
see
man
you tonight.
Byron coming on next.
We got Byron. We got the whole Florida.
Absolutely, the whole
Florida
crew.
The Florida crew's in the house.
The coolest man in Congress, Byron
We'll
Donner.
see you
Fair enough.
later, Matthew.
See you later, bud. All right, so we gotta. We were just talking possible Gaetz for governor, so I don't want to overstep the possible Byron Donald. So I may Matt, I may have to reverse
Oh
my.
my gosh. See,
may
here
have
we
to
go.
reverse my endorsement. I'm just listening to the people.
He
Here
goes,
we
that was
go.
a great 6 minutes. I'm going to reverse my What are you? You're like a Trump, right?
Yeah, we gotta listen. We gotta
You're
see.
gonna take it.
It's gotten so bright in here, I can no longer see the screen.
Oh, then
so
that
I'm
means
trying to
we're
get people's questions.
That means we're ad-libbing.
We're doing, yeah, we're doing well.
Well, this is a
We're
live
basically
chat.
ad-libbing anyway.
Oh, that's all
like
right.
you get me and a mic and no
Look
real
at the
script, and it's
coordination
usually a
here with
disaster.
his shades, with the little nice
Listen,
red
man,
detail on the
it's
When I grow up, I
side.
want to be
too
cool, like Byron Donalds in 95-degree heat and a blazer and
Baby,
tie.
I
He
don't
ain't cool
know
in
that that's
95 degree heat.
possible.
He just looks that way.
I don't think I can do it.
He ain't cool.
Okay, yeah, it's impressive. So what do you see going on?
Ooh, look, big night tonight. We'll see how
Yeah.
this thing goes. At the end of the day, you know, the people on stage tonight, they got one opportunity, in my view, to try to pull something together.
Yeah.
If they don't pull something together, this thing is going to be game, set, match.
Isn't it true?
Well, especially for the guys that have been leading, right? I think.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I guess the most pressure has to be on Ron DeSantis because if he doesn't have a breakout performance, you know, he's been practicing this thing for 2 years now. You know, this run didn't just start when he announced; it was going on for months before that. You saw that with sort of the influencer attacks and the campaign that was going subversively against Trump and otherwise.
Right. I mean, look, does it need to be his night? Yes, it does. But in terms of leading, there's only one person leading. I mean, that's
yeah,
Trump.
no,
He's leading. What they're all trying to figure out is, can anybody coalesce enough to really get into the real game
To
in
break
this
out.
process? And I think wholeheartedly, if nobody really breaks out tonight, this thing's kind of done. Like everybody was saying, oh, well, why is the president not debating? And I'm like, well, there's a reason heavyweights don't box middleweights.
That's right.
It doesn't work.
That's why I said
And
the champ
so-
doesn't fight the undercard.
Yeah, if I'm one of them, you know, and look, I get it. Look, I'm a member of Congress. If I was in their shoes, I would be happy. I would be like, this is my opportunity. This is my moment
To shine, yeah.
to shine and be able to do that without President Trump being center stage. Now they got to show that they can do that. Period.
Well, and I think a lot of that would also be, you know, based on everything I've seen out of Fox for the last 2 years, they do whatever they could to sort of rig this thing against Trump. So when you're leading by 60 points, like Trump
Yeah.
didn't make billions and do the things that he did by being like walking into an obvious
Yeah.
trap like that, right? It just
Right.
seems like that would be stupid. Like I don't think, and we've met some very dumb political people in our lives. I'm sure you
Oh,
have
yes.
as well.
Oh, yes.
But I can't imagine anyone of them would say, other than again some of the pundits I see on Fox saying it'd be great because it'd be great for their ratings, but not actually for Trump. It'd be really important for Trump to debate tonight. I don't see anyone actually.
A lot of
saying
those
that.
people in politics who are not very smart, a lot of them still get contracts. Politics is a funny
Most of
business.
them.
You lose and you still make money. But that being said, he could have done either thing. President Trump could have done whatever he wanted to tonight. It's not going to hurt him, not really going to help him. It just is what it is. I'm interested to see what's going to happen here. Personally, what I think we're going to see, a little bit of détente. Everything's pretty much going to hold. Some people are going to rise, some people are going to
Interesting.
fall. But nobody's going to break out into 20. I don't think anybody's getting into the 20% range here tonight.
I think the most pressure, quite frankly, is on Ron DeSantis, and I'm sure they'll take some shots at him to try to knock him down from his very, feeble, second place position. And
Well,
a lot
because
of people are
he was
looking
a
at
shoo-in to
Vivek.
guarantee the Republican nomination, 3 months ago, and now it's.
Well, that's what they said.
He's losing
Some people
ground.
said.
He's third to Vivek in a lot of these polls, so that's a little bit.
No shoe in. Wait, what are these like the Trump guys in front of the Never Back Down
Yeah,
bus?
it's pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh.
So-
yeah, I love politics, man. This is the fun part of it, man. This stuff is
It's great. Trump's not even here, and yet he still has more fans here than than the people.
Well, look, I think here's the deal. For Ron DeSantis, you're absolutely right, Kim. It's got to be his night. Does he have the charisma, the ability to make that happen? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
Vivek
Well,
rob
speak
us
a
up?
little
Could
bit. I
Vivek
asked-
steal the show? It's very possible.
Very possible.
I asked Matt about that, obviously.
Yeah.
Florida, you're a Florida guy.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. We had the same conversation similar on the podcast. If you haven't seen it with Byron, you can go back. That was, 3 weeks ago, right
Yeah.
after
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Turning Point. And you talked a little bit about that. You're sort of part of the reason the endorsement with Trump, that personal connection.
Yeah.
Right? There's a component there. Policy can be great, but Trump's policies were also great for Americans. But that personal connection, he doesn't seem to have that ability to connect. And they keep putting him in these instances where they're trying desperately to make it happen. and he's failing time and time again that way.
Look, I just think you got to be who you are.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, we talked a little bit about consultants, and man, this is the reason I don't listen to consultants.
Yeah,
At this level, people got to see it, they got to feel it, they got to know it. You got to be who you are. If you're the guy that is reading every white paper and you know exactly what to do when to pull levers, be that guy. I'm fine with that. People just got to be comfortable with it. Own that space. Yeah. And I think that if you had a lot of candidates start to follow that advice, you get a lot better candidates get elected, number one, because then everybody will be who they are as opposed to some caricature that the political creatures want to make you.
Yeah. So you're here tonight. You came here, obviously, to do... Are they letting you in the spin room now or not? Because yes, we were allowed. Then they were shutting us out entirely. Now I'm hearing maybe. I mean, what do you think about being a congressman, a sitting congressman from probably one of the most Republican states in the union right now, and being possibly locked out of the Republican debate for president?
So this is the foolishness that happens in politics.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like what the Democrats are trying to do in Fulton County, silencing my father, right? How is this any different?
This is the silliness of it. I mean, look, the other campaigns, I get why they're upset about it, but if they were leading by huge numbers, they would want their surrogates in the spin room too. Yeah. So all this is people trying to jockey for position. I think with respect to Fox, I thought it was a bad call.
Yeah,
they should have just said, that's not our business. You guys can fight out the politics. We're going to report the news. And without a doubt, Donald Trump is the center of our politics. I don't care how you feel about it.
Right.
That's the way it is. And so, you got to get past that and move on. Do I think we're going to be in a spin room tonight? Yeah, I think we're going to end up in there.
We'll figure out a way.
I think that's going to happen.
But you know what's unbelievable? Because they're trying to then backtrack, and they're like, well, and they're trying to just parse it out and mince words and say, well, if you're Trump campaign, then we're limiting your people and you can't come in. But then they try to say that us, we don't work for the campaign. He and I, we're creators on Rumble. We have our shows. We're working as media here. Yeah. So, good luck to you on that.
So you got media credentials.
Yes, we're guests of Rumble.
I got to come see you.
You got to come in there.
I got to go talk to Rumble in the spin room, everybody.
I want to be there. When they try to prevent a black congressman from speaking there, because I have a feeling we can do some stuff with that.
I just think that this stuff isn't thought through. People do this stuff in offices and boardrooms and in meetings, but when it gets out here in the real world, when you have the grinder of politics, where it's a people's business, it's a people business. When you have that, a lot of these decisions that get made end up being real.
Yeah,
but I think it proves all the point, which is the elites that run networks and the billionaire donor class that are in attendance.
Yeah,
we're catering to them. Not to the people that actually, we got into this not for those guys. I promise you, it was much nicer and smoother sailing being real estate developers than this shit. But we're doing it for the people, and it seems like this is not a decision of the people, because the people are saying that Trump's up 60 points.
Right. Well, they're supporting him by 62%.
So you're saying we should have 60% of the spin room?
I think so. I think
you should.
Exactly. But
look,
that's the
I've
case.
been telling some of my friends. I saw a couple. Look, my buddy Chip and I work together on a lot of things in Congress. Just talked to him out here, and I was like, well, look, Chip, this thing will be over in about 5 to 6 months, and then we're going to be one party. We're going to get behind Donald Trump. We're going to get him reelected to the White House. Period. That's the mission. Anything else that stops from that mission, in my mind, is a distraction at this point.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. But I mean, by that logic, continuing a lot of this primary for 6 more months. I mean, the politics
the problem is a waste of time and resources. We should be focusing on the general election.
In the next 6 months. And again,
about 50, 60 million. Yeah. But look, and I say it so glibly, that sounds terrible.
Couldn't that help you, in your congressional race? Couldn't that help another Byron Donalds in some other race?
Yeah.
That's going to be outspent 5-10 to 1, that may have great ideas, may be a fresh face for the Republican Party, maybe more America first. So we're going to spend it to help Asa Hutchinson go from polling 0.02% to 0.021%. We're outspent by so much.
He's looking at the economics of it, that it's a waste of resources and time.
We are already at such a deficit
Joe Biden,
to the Democrats.
Or whoever they put in.
They used to talk about Sheldon Adelson all the time, but there was one Sheldon Adelson. They got Soros, they got this, they got Bloomberg, they got 100 of them. They got all of Hollywood and their influence and their reach and their platforms, and then they have sort of the in-kind contribution from big tech and from mainstream media. It's not the same.
They're good at the general election
stuff. We're not on the same battlefield.
That's the problem.
So I'm curious to see what you think about it.
Look, I think that some of these donors are going to start pulling the money out. because like, especially after tonight.
Yeah.
After tonight, after the next debate, what's it, in another month or so, when there's no movement except one way, and that's around Donald Trump continuing to further that, I think a lot of the big money interests are going to say, you know what, it's time to close up shop, because why continue to spend good money after bad? At the end of the day, they're business people. You just don't do that. And so that's what I think is going to occur. I think the field's going to dry up probably through Christmas, and then we go from there. See what happens in Iowa. But I think Iowa's going to be big for President Trump. And then once that happens,
very well there. That's the big.
Once
deal.
that happens. New Hampshire's the following week. I mean, this thing goes fast.
Well, Christie's just focusing on that to try to do a win place.
But here's my thing. What's Chris Christie focusing on? The 10% in New Hampshire that he's not going to get anywhere else in the other 49 states? Can he get 10% in New Jersey? I don't think so.
Probably not. I mean,
I don't think
wasn't
so.
He at like 9% when he left as governor after the Bridgegate thing?
But this is the problem. Look, and I'm going to be blunt on this one. If you want to be a kamikaze pilot, fine, go do that. Go do that on CNN or MSNBC. Do it on Fox. Do it on Newsmax. Do it wherever you want to. But to try to do that in a debate stage when we all know that ain't gonna happen. Period. Full stop.
So what do you think about the most recent indictments? It's something we actually haven't talked about yet. I'm curious to see your thoughts about that one and
Oh, Fulton County. Oh, Fannie.
Yeah.
Listen, man. So actually, the real RICO indictment for Fannie Willis is what's going on with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden right now. That's the real RICO investigation, because that is racketeering. The stuff we're putting together on oversight, where now he's using other email accounts with other aliases. Robert L. Peters, he's emailing Hunter.
I haven't seen this yet,
they're on the plane going to all these countries. Hunter's not on Delta. He's on Air Force Two. All the stuff that was going on, that's the real racketeering case. I think with this last indictment, once again, it's showing people in middle America, they're not dyed-in-the-wool Republicans. They're not heavy Democrats. They're normal people. They live here in Milwaukee. They live in Chicago. They live in Pittsburgh. They live in Philadelphia. Normal people are looking at this and saying, this is a lot of BS. Yeah. If this guy is really like the bane of the Democrats' existence, that they're using the criminal justice system against him, you know what? Maybe that's the guy we need for president, because he's the one who'll actually clean this place up and not continue business as usual, which is making it hard for everybody. What's the Rich Man North of Richmond song, the Oliver, that song, that's indicative of what a lot of people are feeling. Yeah. And if you see the justice system going after a candidate for president who was a former president like this, over, frankly, like, at best, semantics, come on. I think people see through that.
I mean, I hope they do. I mean, so you're on oversight with one of your colleagues earlier, talking about this kind of stuff. Do you feel that you're getting real and timely responses? I mean, obviously they're going to slow play you, right? This is the regime you're up against in a certain way. Can you deliver in the amount of time that you have left before sort of the next Congress?
I think so. I think we can deliver. I think that
because that's the recurring theme, and it's not like I see. Hey, why hasn't X, Y, Z
people
happened?
Want to see
people
it
have
done.
to understand they want to see it get done, but so do I.
Yes.
But there's still, unfortunately, there's a process, and they're going to play the game differently with us, and they'll drag everything out to the last minute. How do you get to that end result? Can you get to it in time to actually, effectuate it before they? I don't think they'll win Congress based on the disastrous performance that you're seeing from Democrats right now. But what do you think?
I think we can get it done. Actually, we've done a lot. We've done more in this 6-7 months than I thought we would actually get to. Okay. We've uncovered far more, and I think that where we are right now, we have some requests for information out there. If NARA doesn't comply, we're going to go and subpoena that information. And we think that's going to help us continue that. And then the last line is figuring out where the money was being spent. Okay. But I think at this point, what we have today, and I think these emails are going to prove it, we have Robert L. Peters, a.k.a. Joe Biden, knowingly allowing his son to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Like, I just think about it. If your dad knowingly had you violating FARA, there wouldn't be no hush-hush investigation from DOJ and FBI.
I'd be in Gitmo right now, and my father would place me there himself.
You wish you would be in Gitmo. You would get better treatment. Oh no. You would be in Sing Sing. That's where they will put you. Yeah. And so the reality is, we've got a lot of information. I think we have all the time we need to do it. Mm-hmm. And so now it's going to our colleagues who haven't really been a part of these investigations to show them the level of detail, so that even the ones who might be in these quote unquote, Biden districts, they can see, like, look, guys, This is racketeering. It's public corruption. We have a constitutional responsibility to go to an impeachment inquiry and then even impeachment. And I think we can get there.
Yeah, I think so.
We appreciate everything that you do, man. It's great. I look forward to seeing you in the spin room.
Thank
We'll have
you,
some
babe.
fun, blowing up some heads.
Listen, I'm ready for the spin room. It's going to be good tonight.
It's gonna be good. Let's do it.
All right,
Let's
see you
do it.
guys. I'm going to be a lot cooler, though. I'm going to cool down.
Oh, yeah, you're smarter than I like. This is getting ridiculous.
Babe.
It is literally. Well, what do you want? It's 95 degrees out here. I'm on like hour 2. Like it's I'm not putting an ice pack on. I'm not like that's a meme that will come back to haunt me later on. Like someone will do this. Like we're good. I'll figure it out. I'll just die. But if I pass out of dehydration, I'm blaming Kimberly. What do you think, Kim?
Yeah, but I'll bring you back to life, baby. I'm good
Hello,
at that.
boys and girls.
Hi.
Hello.
Nigel.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Alexandra.
Next
How
guest,
are you?
the great Nigel Farage, out of the UK.
He doesn't look sweaty at all.
How are you not sweaty?
Oh, well, the weather's so warm on our island.
Exactly.
We're used to it. If you believe that, you believe
Right?
anything.
Oh my God.
How you doing, my friend?
We're doing well, yeah. I mean, it's really interesting being here. I'm not sure most people have really woken up to just what a pivotal moment this is, coming up over the next year or so.
I
America.
fear that myself. Right? I talk about it every day, and the people watching and following, they get it. But so much of the information we're seeing is manipulated by the media, tech, and otherwise. That the people who don't pay much attention to this stuff, they may actually take it for face value. I see Joe Biden talking about the Bidenomics tour. I'm trying to figure out, name a place that we're better off now than we were.
But most people live their lives. Most people have a mortgage, a marriage, a dog, 2.3 kids, and they're busy just keeping their head above water, with the cost of living, inflation, everything else.
Yes.
The average Joe probably spends about 6 or 7 minutes a day consuming media, consuming news. So we need to think about that on our side of the debate.
Yeah.
How do we find messaging that actually gets through to ordinary folk about the peril that we face? And frankly, I mean, what's happened in the last 2 days in South Africa is scary.
Talk about that. So, for those of you who may not know, Nigel Farage, leader of the Brexit movement, perhaps the original populist, maybe got there before Trump. So this is a guy that understands, our movement. He understands America first in America, as he did, let's call it, Britain first in the UK.
Absolutely.
But we haven't spoken about South Africa because this stuff is going on around the world.
Our enemies are gathering.
Yeah.
China is on a massive diplomatic mission, right? They virtually own Russia. They've now got India on their side. They've got South Africa on their side. It's a movement called the BRICS movement. They're inviting 40 other countries to join. And these people do not share our values.
At all.
In any way at all. We actually believe in democracy, in free speech, in the rule of law. That's what our civilization, and actually, dare I say it, Christian values, which underpin everything about our society, and that's all under threat. And what is extraordinary is that Biden, the left, they now so hate us, they want us cancelled. They want us shut down. They want your father put in prison.
Yeah, well, they shut down. You're a member of European Parliament. They shut down his bank accounts a few weeks ago. You may have seen the podcast I did with Nigel then about it. But they're not hiding it anymore. Their disdain for anyone who doesn't comply, who isn't totally complicit to their every whim, every desire. No matter how insane, you must believe that there's 9,764 genders, or hey, you don't get a bank account anymore.
No.
The science may have changed rapidly.
And global warming, But here's the thing, you see, the old left. We could have sat here 30 years ago and disagreed with the old left. We could have disagreed on tax and spend. We could have disagreed on many things. But you know what? The old left were patriotic. The old left believed in my country. They believed in America. The new left don't believe in nation state. The new left believe in a global order, but they also believe they have a moral superiority over us. They believe they're better people than we are, and therefore for them, there is nothing they will do or not do to achieve their goals. That includes cheating, it includes lying, and it includes, in America, politicizing the judiciary. So the real battle, and this is the message somehow we've got to get through to folk, is that everything we've stood for a couple of thousand years as we built Western civilization is under threat.
Under attack.
It's big. This is really, really big. And if America falls, you know what? We all fall.
And that's the thing. I mean, watching watching what's gone on over the last few years between COVID lockdowns and everything like that, right? All the countries that I said, hey, they're a lot like us. They're a lot, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK, like.
It's the English-speaking countries.
They weren't. They were so quick to give up on anything.
Why is it the English-speaking countries? I'll tell you why. It's West Coast tech. West Coast tech has so taken over our lives.
Interesting.
The Zuckerbergs of this world
He's right.
will not allow any free speech. My kids.
That's actually a really good point because
And they're in
it's
the
easier to
speech
manipulate the
business.
algorithm if you understand everything that's saying and it's the language
Well,
you
honey,
discourse.
they're in the speech business so they can control speech.
I don't think Americans understand just how dominant culturally they've become in the world. Hey, we produce some good music and some good actors and whatever it may be, but actually, American culture across the English-speaking world now dominates what teenagers see, what they think, what they believe.
You guys have been lagging since like the Beatles.
Well, we do send some things to you. I mean, we did export Brexit, which helped your father get elected.
That's true.
You
And we've
forecasted
given you
that
Prince Harry.
Oh,
How about this?
Return
I'll
to
give you
sender.
back Prince Harry. I think even the people in Hollywood are like,
No,
"Was
that was a
Okay.
payback because we
But I
gave him
gotta know.
Meghan Markle.
All right, that's serious question.
Yeah.
What happened to him? Because seriously, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, it was like, sure, he's made some stupid mistake, but like, it's a guy you'd actually want to have a beer with.
This
I think.
was-
And then he like full cuck. I can't figure it out.
This guy made the royal family cool. It was cool. Suddenly people loved Harry. He was the most popular.
He was the cool brother. In a
member.
way. Like it was like
I'd never seen a member of the royal family more popular. He was Jack the Lad. He went to Afghanistan. He fought in the front lines. He really, genuinely
Actually
did.
yeah.
There's no question about it. He was revered in the army, loved in the country. So he had a few girlfriends.
And
He
a lot
liked-
of humanitarian work.
he liked a beer. He made the odd mistake. People loved him for it. Suddenly, he meets Meghan, decides that growing up in a palace has been terrible.
he disavowed everything that made him cool. I'm like,
I wants the world to know what it's. I know his mum died, and that was horrible
Well,
what he had
that's
to
what
go
happened.
through.
That's
But you know
what
what?
messed
That
him
happens
up.
to so many people anyway, doesn't it?
It
Lots
does.
of people have
Yeah, I
bad.
mean, listen.
Bad stuff happens in life, and
Happened to
But
me.
he succeeded even after that. I mean, he was young when that happened, and
He
I
got
know
through it.
you lost your mom, Kim, when you were like 11. It's brutal, but like he actually had a lot of sort of national success before that, and then reversed it all. Like
she's ruined him, and I'll make a prediction here. She'll dump him. She will dump him when she's used him to get all she can. And let's face it, she wants a political career. She wants to be in Congress or in the Senate for the Democrats. That's what she's aiming at. Once she's there, she'll get rid of Harry, and he'll come back to the UK with his tail between
Although
his
I
legs.
wonder, because it feels like the
I hope
podcast
so,
gets
poor
canceled.
thing.
Did this get? Did she or they? Did they overplay their hand a little bit? Because it's like it almost seems like she's turning off even their base, which is like the radical leftist base. Like even they've had enough.
I mean, they were paid fortunes.
Oh, insane
and
amount.
delivered absolutely nothing. But the Democrats will still have her. I think that always goes without saying.
Yeah, that's a solid point. Yeah, it's a solid point.
His whole problem is psychological. It's a whole thing because he sees, and she goes out of her way as this actress that she pretends to be, but to try to make him feel like she is his mother and she is being persecuted and she was at risk and he couldn't save his mom, so now he's trying to stick up, and it's like reliving that all over again. That's what's happening psychologically.
Yeah, and her claims are, so when the wedding took place, when they got married at Windsor, I promise you, the whole country gave them and her the biggest honeymoon you could ever see.
Beyond.
The idea there was any racism or prejudice.
All lies.
It's frankly for the birds. It's absolute nonsense. It's very sad what's happened. But hey, he's yours now.
Yeah.
But according to your prediction, not for long.
Well, not for long.
What's
no.
the timing on this thing?
Oh gosh, don't rush to the bookmakers because I may not get this right. Within 5 years, it'll be over. It'll be over within 5 years, no question. But hopefully, within 5 years, we'll have your old man back in the White House. We'll have a bit of common sense back in Western politics. We'll take on this woke corporate culture that's run through everything. And we'll send a message to China. And this is the really big story that we're not talking about. China now has military ambitions. If we don't stop China, we've got a World War III coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's that serious.
I agree.
Well, I mean, they've already
1,000%
started it
serious.
economically. I think, you could make the case for everything that happened with COVID is 100% blamed on them. And
and
you're not allowed to say this because it's conspiratorial, but like, hey, who benefits from a disease that wipes out the elderly that can't take care of themselves in a population of 1.7 billion people? It's like, all right,
have you seen?
Sort of, and if you could take out Trump and the U.S. economy at the same time, like,
But you've seen the COVID news in America.
Seem crazy.
Yeah, we have. We were talking about that earlier.
Nigel, I'm
They're
actually
gonna do
shocked
it
that
all
you're not
over
wearing your
again.
mask right now because they're going to.
Mask mandates, Atlanta University, Hollywood studios, and Biden's administration telling all of you to get 3 jabs this autumn.
Yeah. It's
Do you know what?
unbelievable.
Do you know what? If ever there was a moment to tell them to go to hell, it's now.
It is now.
Yeah,
it's why all the do not comply
Don't do
stuff.
it. Yeah, we were talking about do not comply earlier, and I'm like, we had Marjorie Taylor Greene on a couple. I was like, I don't even want to get to the point where we have to make a decision about complying or not.
Yeah.
Our leaders, if we control the House, our leaders better not even let it get there. They better shut that shit down right away.
I hope you're
Because
right, but I'm not sure they
whatever
will.
you look at on the past,
I'm not sure
we
they're
know
gonna be
better
able to.
now.
Yeah.
We know what they did with it. We understand how they manipulated us now in hindsight, certainly. And frankly, many of us figured this out long ago and frankly while it was going on. But we can't allow that crap to happen again.
We have got if they try and impose anything like that again on us, and the warning signs are there in the last 3 or 4 days. No, time
They're going to do it
stand
again,
and fight.
2.0. I mean, that's what they're going to do.
They're going to try.
They'll come up with a weird, scary name.
But I think, Kimberly, despite what we said earlier about ordinary folk being busy with their lives, I think any attempt to do this again will be met with a massive rejection.
I hope so.
I pray so.
I agree.
I pray so.
So what do you expect out of tonight?
Well, I think we've got 2 things going on tonight. We got the Tucker.
Yeah, I'm going to be like live streaming Tucker while like trying to pay attention to both because I'm a little bit.
I mean, for me, it's like being back on the trading floor with 2 phones. You know,
exactly.
Obviously, we got what your father says to Tucker, which will be interesting. But I tell you what, I think it's a mistake to write off what's going to happen tonight. Yes, we know the Chris Christies of this world are there for negative reasons. I personally have thought for 6 months that Vivek Ramaswamy has got some very interesting, fresh ideas that could benefit the conservative movement going on for the next 10 or 20 years. What I don't know is, can he perform under pressure?
Oh, by the way, I think I actually agree with. I think he can. He seems like actually the best sort of media person of the people on stage.
Just look at the
and
personalities.
I like
up there.
all of the things that he's actually saying and the ideas. My question is, where was he in 2020? Where was he in 2018, 2016? I'm not sure. Again,
Don,
you wanna know
Don, do you know,
Is he consistent on the
but
issues?
I just don't know. Is it a business ploy? Is it, he's a good businessman. He's sort of started to do the stuff with Woke Inc. But that doesn't mean you actually believe in those things. It means you saw an opportunity to make money.
No. Has your father made money out of politics?
No, we've lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well,
we've lost. Okay, Nigel,
I know.
Indicted.
Well, there
they
you
want to
are.
put him in jail for 750 years.
I know.
Relax. You know what our legal bills have been over the last years, whether it's Trump or him personally. Literally hundreds. We're the only people that ever go to Washington D.C. to come out
losing
rich.
money.
I'm not saying
there is no
fine,
way.
But we haven't made money on this deal by any means.
Exactly my point. Vivek is not doing this to make money. He's doing
I
it.
wasn't even saying it.
But
I'm just saying, is he an actual believer in the things?
Meaning,
I just don't know that.
Did he come up with this great platform, or we don't know the answer?
This has been
I haven't
going
done
on
enough
for a while.
research on it.
I didn't hear him in 2016.
I agree with you. Hence why tonight's so important.
Yeah.
Tonight we get to see him actually in public, being challenged by other people. They will ask him these questions, the same reservations you've got. They'll ask him about his relationship with Big Pharma. They'll ask him all these questions. We're about to find out in a few hours' time whether he's really up to it. So I think for that alone, this is of value.
I think so. Yeah, people are saying we'll take, and it's a big night for Ron DeSantis because he's got to do something, or he's just dead on arrival.
I don't think that's going to happen. I can't see that happening.
I can't see it happening either. So
But I
think he's
will
in trouble.
say, the previous guest that sat in this chair, Brian, boy, is he good.
Yeah,
Oh, Donald.
Is he good?
He's
He's
very
great.
good.
He's been a supporter for and likewise. We did a lot for Byron. I think it's a future starts. I mean, I think Gaetz. He'll drive the people in Florida absolutely. Meaning the media class. I want Gaetz to run for governor. I think
Gaetz we love.
I just want to see the explosion from.
But Byron is relatively new on me, and I have to say, just sitting here watching him with you guys a moment ago, he's impressive.
Actual financial background, business guy like that. Then chose to do this, not. He came up in the political class. I love that for us because we need so much more of that, and we've seen both what someone with that kind of real world experience can do versus you're on a committee making $1 trillion financial decisions because you have tenure you've been there longer,
Yeah.
not because you know anything.
Yeah.
And we have to get out of that mindset
Yeah.
in Washington, D.C.
He's good. He's good. He's good. But he's good. But you know, it's not the biggest event tonight there's ever been.
No, I
Well,
agree.
because there's not many
Like I said,
personalities
we're
up there.
sitting
See,
here.
Tim
We're
Scott,
here trying to do a
Vivek.
job.
I
and I'm sitting
know.
like, but I wanna
Everyone's
watch
here.
the other show.
I know. Well, we're going to watch both, aren't we?
Well, we'll have to watch both. We'll have to watch both.
Excellent. And tell where everybody can see you, because you have a lot of great stuff going on in your show. in Great
Yeah.
Britain.
Well, we had a situation with British media where all we had giving us news and politics was the BBC, state-funded BBC, Sky News and ITV, and it was all one way. An absolute consensus view on all the woke issues and all the climate issues.
Even Sky, right?
Sky were the worst.
Really?
Once Comcast bought Sky. When Murdoch owned Sky, it wasn't too bad.
Right.
Comcast bought Sky
Bought
a few
it,
years
no.
ago. It became terrible. So we've come along as a challenger, and do you know what? We're doing okay. And by some miracle, I've managed to win TV Presenter of the Year. So we're not doing badly.
love to hear
We're
that.
not doing
I'm
badly.
shocked.
Oh, so was I.
I'm like, wait a minute.
How does that happen?
Is this like the exception that proves the rule kind of thing? Is
Well,
it-
so we're making progress.
Huh?
It's good, and we've got good conservative arguments being made, and we're covering a lot of America, because I repeat the point, if America falls, we all fall.
Yeah.
This is the real battleground for the future of liberty, democracy, and the rule of law.
Well, we appreciate it, Nigel. We appreciate everything that you do for that. Look forward to hearing all your commentary tonight after we see what's going on, and just thanks for everything that you guys
Always
do.
a pleasure to see
Best.
both of you.
What a great
Always.
friend you are.
Always.
Awesome.
Well, guys, I think we're probably pushing our time.
It's
I think,
4 o'clock, honey.
but I can't tell because the iPad
4:03.
is giving me a temperature warning. I can't quite touch it. It's hot. So
You don't
we
seem
may
hot
be,
at all.
I know, baby.
You've
I
done
keep
very
my
well.
cool under pressure despite being out here in 95-degree heat. But want to thank you guys for checking it out. Kim and I are going to do our shows tomorrow, 4 and 6 East Coast respectively. I'm just going to do an AMA. So I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything about Tucker, that interview, as well as the debate stuff. So if you guys want to tune in, check that out. Kim, do you have guests? Or?
Yes, I do have guests tomorrow. I have DC Drano. I have Mike Davis to go over everything. We're going to lead you into all the legal aspects of what's going to go down in Fulton County and Georgia tomorrow with President Trump, 45th president, your father turning himself in to that despicable situation and indictment down there.
Yeah, and I'm just going to do a 2-hour AMA/rant. So for those of you who have questions, check it out there tomorrow at 6 on Rumble. And, maybe we'll join up here later. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll go live again later. What do you think?
We'll see.
All right. We'll
Do
figure it
live.
out.
Do it
In the
live.
meantime, we'll get the ice packs off the cameras and get into some air
Like the
conditioning.
episode. No.
What's that?
Like the episode.
Oh, yeah. Like, share, subscribe. Come on, guys. Don't forget, this is how the algorithm works. Make sure other people can see it.
Also
You
our
can watch,
sponsors.
if you're going to watch the debate, watch it on Rumble. Okay? Don't watch it on Fox. Watch it on Rumble. They are going to live stream the debate. Tucker will be simultaneous to that, but you can watch either. You can probably end up watching both because it'll live permanently on the platforms. And again, Kim will be on tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll be on at 6.
Thank you to our sponsors.
All right. Well,
No, we're supposed to. And also,
All right.
we just want to say thank you to our sponsors real quick. Chatty Cathy over here was going nonstop. But to My Pillow and to Goldco, you can go to those websites. You can take them to yours. Goldco.
You can go to donjuniorgold.com, learn how to protect your financial insecurity from the idiots that we see
Quite right.
Running our world
Quite
these
right.
days. Just take care of yourself because I see a disaster and otherwise. And check out the folks at Patriot Mobile. When we talk about voting with our wallets, go to patriotmobile.com/triggered.
For free
check it out there,
activation.
free activation. And you can give your money to AT&T, that literally parent company who tried canceling Newsmax and OAN. So I have a feeling they don't share your values, or you can do it to a company that actually gives back to all the causes that we believe in.
And you know what I wish I had right now? One of the My Pillows with the cool patented technology that stays cool all night.
Maybe nothing's keeping me cool in this.
Oh my
There's
God!
literally, yeah.
But it's buy one get one free. You can go to the website there and MyPillow/Kimberly or Don Jr. Either way.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you, and we'll see you tomorrow. If not, maybe later on, impromptu. Have a good one.